Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sharing with Shellshock. I am your host, ShellshockPrime, and we are here tonight to talk about video game music. We have three returning guests and one joining in for the first time. Welcome back, Jon J. Torres. Good to have you back on the show.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for having me again.
Absolutely. And good to have you back, Andy.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. Glad to be here talking about one of my favorite subjects.
Absolutely. And good to have you back on once again, Korshal.
You know I love being here, and you basically helped throw this together, tailored specifically for me. So I'm so glad I could be here.
Yep. And good to have you on, Becky. It's good to have you.
Hey, jelly beans.
Yep. So, we are going to talk a lot about video game music, and we have a little bit of a surprise later on the show. But first, Jon, remind everybody, what type of content do you do?
Well, it is wonderful to see everybody again. Thank you all for tuning in to Sharing with Shellshock once again. My name is Jon JT. I'm known as the voice of retro. I participate in voiceover work, retro gaming content, specifically arcade games and high score seeking runs. In another lifetime, I am a professional wrestling ring announcer. In a third lifetime, I am an ancestral guardian, a sentinel built specifically for the shields. And here we are speaking so highly on one of my favorite things of all time. And I'm so happy to be here with everybody today. Shellshock, thank you again for having me on.
I'm really happy to have you on as well, Jon. Now, Andy, remind everybody what type of content you do.
Hi, my name is Andy. I am coming at you live from Music Park here in Mario Kart. I actually am a content creator. I stream on Twitch. I publish content on YouTube. We actually just had our own podcast go on yesterday. I write little mini content. Every Monday I write an article about music called Music Mondays, where I'm trying to kind of take parts of music and put it into why it's special to me, why that song made an impact in my life, kind of stuff, and maybe having other friends doing that as well. Variety is the name of the game here. Banjo-Kazooie is kind of my personality. And it's spread out a little bit. I like Splatoon. I am currently obsessed with the new Star Fox game that just came out.
Same here.
The not new game, but I'm a little bit everywhere. Mostly Nintendo, but kind of a little everywhere. But yeah, you'll find me on the online everywhere.
Awesome. And what about you, Korshal?
So I'm Korshal Valent for my full proper title. I'm a bit of a streamer, like variety stuff, a lot of Nintendo or anything colorful indie kind of stuff. I love getting to see platformers, especially randomizers when I have time. I'm kind of more often streaming with friends, given my schedule, than I get to by myself. But I heckin' love it. It's great. I'm also known on YouTube, my channel there, specifically for doing video game remixes, because I love to get to touch that all the time. I love synth rock kind of stuff. And because of that, people would not be surprised to hear, besides doing like actual ground up instruments for my remixes, I also do a lot of Mega Man X sound font covers that had a very large influence on my style when it comes to the SNES instruments. So you get to hear that a lot. I'm very familiar with those songs. You'll probably hear me reference that tonight, because that's a big part of my shtick, so to say. But yeah, pretty much those two things. I wish I had a better way to have them kind of like cross over a little more, because streaming tends to be gaming, and then YouTube tends to be my music. But you know, depending on what you like, I've got you covered in that regard.
Excellent. Awesome. Now, what about you, Becky?
So my name is Becky Rudranath, and I am a staff member of Nintendo Force magazine. I have been a staff member since around 2015, and we just finished our latest issue for July and August. And next issue that we're just starting to work on now, we're going to be covering the most recent Nintendo Direct. What I do along with my work for the magazine is that I am a variety streamer. I took a break because of personal issues for couple of weeks, but I'm trying to get back into it. I do a lot of variety streaming. What I like to do is play Nintendo titles, games that are revolving around food, for instance. But most recent stream was actually starting to build a model kit that I accidentally got from Amazon. Also, I am a collector of vinyl dolls. This is a doll featuring sister that is cosplaying as Junko Enoshima from Danganronpa, and you can see a little bit more of my collection in back of me.
All right.
And in my personal life, I have a wonderful husband and a bunch of really awesome and supportive friends and 2 kitties.
Awesome. That is awesome. Also, should be fun. All right, so video game music. We have our favorite video game music, like individual pieces of music. We have our favorite soundtracks. There are times where we listen to them because it gets us in a better mood. There are times we listen to them just to get through like certain parts of the day, like if you're commuting to and from like school, work, or wherever else you're going. Or you just want to listen to it just for the hell of it. You just want to. All valid reasons to listen to music, especially video game music. So I'm gonna start with John on this question. When did you start taking the time to listen to video game music?
A little bit of background lore for Jon JT goes as far back as, I want to say, 2008 or 9, but I had picked up my very first laptop. It was, I don't know if it was Dell or HP, but one thing I would do, because I loved the music from the Sega Genesis Sonic the Hedgehog game so much, is I found a website where I was able to extract and download each piece of music just so I could have it playable on my laptop. And from there, I branched out from a lot of more research I had done regarding Sega Genesis music. I found out about more games like Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, Alex Kidd, The Enchanted Castle. And from years on after that, I've discovered things like Phantasy Star, Elemental Master. That's a really, really deep cut for Sega Genesis fans over there. Crusader of Senti, another really deep cut with also really good music. And from there, my taste kind of just expanded. Like, there's a lot that I'm listening to now, especially in the soundtrack realm, from like from icons in the industry like Spyro the Dragon to the indie hits of yesterday like Mina the Hollower. The variety and spectacle of video game music and soundtracks has grown exponentially since 1981. Or is it 78 when Nintendo Share dropped in arcades for the first time ever? Wow. It's been a time, and what an interesting time it has been.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Andy?
Question is when I got started, correct?
Yes.
So I don't know if you remember back in the day, games came on little CDs, right?
Yes.
So back in the early 90s, mid 90s, somewhere around there, I found out that my dad had a copy of King's Quest 6. And if you put that into a CD player, if you skipped past the first track, it played the song from the end credits. And so I started listening to that. There was also some other CDs that we would listen to that would have songs in it. And so I would listen to that a lot. Or in leaving my Nintendo 64 running so I could just, chill and listen to Peach's Castle or blah blah blah, blah on Battlefield, something like that. So it's been a minute. A little bit like 96, 97, 98, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't stopped.
All right. Korshal.
So for me, when it really started dawning upon kid Korshal to be like, oh, this is something that I really enjoy listening to, or like I realized it was a standalone medium from games themselves, that there's like more to this to be appreciated than just hearing it in the level and thinking like, oh, that's like a memorable little ditty when you hear like anything from the Starman theme or anything that hits you hard and quick and sticks with you. I remember I have an older sibling, an older brother, and there was a time he had a friend over to my childhood home. And while they were like busy playing the N64 at the time, when I'm just like this small little guy, the friend had brought over specifically a soundtrack CD of Paper Mario for that N64, like the Club Nintendo CD that he brought over for my brother to be able to listen to and like give it a go. And I wound up sneaking off with it to my bedroom because he had the hand-me-down SNES that was like there. And I remember listening to that and getting really hooked on I don't remember the actual soundtrack name of the track, but Tubba Blubba's fight theme
Yeah.
was like the thing that really stuck to me when I heard it. And I went like, man, this is like the goods. And I just was like listening to it on repeat, which sadly and ironically, that became the chapter that terrified me as a kid because I did not like getting consumed by things. That and Jabu Jabu from Ocarina of Time became like my nightmare fuel during that time. But it was that CD that really made me go like, oh, wait, I can listen to these things stand alone and I enjoy doing it. And then you fast forward a little bit where I get systems that are like of my age. We started with the Game Boy Advance, really, when my family started like not just getting older systems for me to like interact with that weren't like 3 or 4 years behind.
Yep.
And the two games that really made me go like, oh, wait, this is all I need to listen to were Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland and Sonic Advance. And the reason why is both of them have sound test modes. So you're just fiddling around with all of the menus as a kid because you're like, oh yeah, let me just see what everything here. And you see the sound test. You're like, oh, what's this? And you just get to it and you just start like realizing the trove that's at your ears right there. I didn't even have headphones for the longest time until like the DS era, but during drives, like family trips, I would take I never had an SP, but with my long OG GBA, I would go to the sound test, I would get it playing and put that mono speaker just right up next to my ears. I got to stare out the windows for hours of drives. And that was like, that's when I went like, oh, I don't need anything. Like, I don't need to worry about finding other music when these games provide it for me, especially in the DS area. Like Kirby and Sonic provided me in spades because all their games on the portable system basically had sound test modes. And you're just like, oh yeah, let me decide what I want to listen to today. And like, you're not even here to play the game. You just kind of got like your travel case of like games. And you're like, oh, I'm picking my CD basically. Where it's just like, yep, time to put in Kirby and the Amazing Mirror because the final boss song against Darkmind is incredible. And you just like listen to that for like 30 minutes. Its adventures are running crazy in your head. Your imagination's going wild. And that's what did it. That's my origin of being like, oh, wait, heck, I can just listen to these and do stuff. And I figured stuff out too in that era where like Donkey Kong Country was a game I already loved already. And I went, oh yeah, what if I just go to the level and pause? And just pause the game and then just listen to it like that. And you go like, yeah, I beat the level. So I just press select to go back to the world map. This is kind of a roundabout like track select now when you're like going back to Gangplank Galleon and hearing the admittedly very crunchy version of that game soundtrack. But as a kid, it was exactly how my memories remembered from like playing with my older brother on the SNES original. And that was great. It never stopped from there. As soon as the DSi hit with its music feature, and I was blessed with the power of modern internet and no longer dial up, I always went finding the soundtracks. I just threw everything on there. My parents would be like, yeah, do you need actual, like, do you care up mainstream media music? Are there bands that interest you? And you're like, nope, I don't need it. I'm covered. Don't ever worry. My music is done forever. And it was history from there.
Sounds really good. Like, especially like when you listen to the GBA like music through that, and you didn't have the headphones. Like, that's how you did it. Like, I've done that too, but I'll talk about my experiences in a little bit. But what about you, Becky?
Yeah, when I was growing up and we first got the internet, I still had a Super Nintendo at the time. That was probably my most advanced system that I had at the point, and I was playing Final Fantasy 2 and 3, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, and I would go online and download MIDIs of all the music and save them to my drive just to listen to, because the music was so good. And there was unfortunately some tracks that didn't really translate very well to the MIDI format. Like, a lot of really good music in Secret of Mana was you could not extract that in a MIDI. Like, it was absolutely impossible, and like what was on the internet was a pale imitation of what could be experienced on this on the SNES. But also, I recall, like, way back when, I'm probably like in elementary school, back when Sonic the Hedgehog first came out, I remember playing it with one of my cousins, and we got to Star Night Zone, and I was like, hey, I really like this music. Let's put it on pause and just listen to it for a little while. And me and my cousin were like, yeah. So we just sat there listening to it for a little while, and it's like, wow, this sounds like something that I want to hear a live band play. And I know they played it at the 2020 Olympics, but I don't know. I've never seen it performed in real life. But yeah, like, I had a very large collection of MIDIs, and that was where I got a lot of my love from listening to video game music from.
All right. Well, for me, it all started around the time when it was around the Sega Genesis era. I just happened to discover the fact that there were a lot more games in common that had sound tests, and I would just listen to the music for a while, and I just didn't stop listening for a while. Like, at least until my brother was like, hey, let me get the controller so I can play. And like, back then we had a limited amount of games, and we had to share the system, so like, he would get the turn, but then there were times where I just listened to music and I just could not stop. I think the first soundtrack where I've actually listened to the sound test was in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the Sega Genesis. And what happened is that for Sonic 2, I remember just going to the options screen. I just heard the music. I even heard music from stages I haven't actually gone through yet. Like, I've heard like Death Egg, I've heard Metropolis, and I wasn't sure where they were, what stages they were from. But then there was a track where it wasn't even used in the game at all. It was meant to be in the Hidden Palace Zone, but it was never used. Like, we eventually did get a version of Sonic 2 with Hidden Palace, but it used the 2-player version of Mystic Cave Zone. So, unfortunately, that track was never used in the game. But I've heard it. It sounded really good. I just didn't know where it was supposed to be at the time. It was like a mystery. But after that, I would keep listening to music through sound tests. And then when I first got a Sega Saturn, they had you could be able to listen to music on like a stereo or CD player at the time. You would hear either the whole soundtrack or select tracks from that game. And and I could not stop like listening to them. Like they were really good. Like they were very good soundtracks. But they would be able to fit into a CD at the time, and it was CD quality audio. It sounded very good. And there were some PlayStation games that had that. Not all of them. Like the earlier ones did, but then they eventually just stopped doing that. But I remember around the time of like I would otherwise I just kept listening to sound tests in games that had them, like Sonic, Kirby, but there were a couple others as well. But it wasn't until when I first got my computer, and I remember like going on the internet and listening to different video game music. Like I would hear MIDIs of like all these tracks, and then I wanted to go and look for MP3s just to listen, and I found them like in sites that no longer exist. And some of them do exist, but I would listen to the music. I get the ones I'm interested in listening to, and there were a lot of them that just so beautiful. Like just I would listen to them better than like listening to mainstream music, to be honest, most of the time. And that was pretty much where I started. Like sound tests. Next one. Andy, we're starting with you for this one. What are your favorite individual pieces of music from video games?
So probably I have a couple different. Obviously, Banjo-Kazooie is if I that's probably like top tier for me. But if I had to pick a specific song from it, would be Banjo Land from Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Ooh.
It's a mix of a bunch of the other games put together into one medley. So well done. Starlight Zone actually from Sonic 2 or Sonic 1, blah. And then the final battle from Mario 64, Bowser, when I don't remember who had said it, but I think it was Becky talking about finding midis, and when I had my flip phone for the first time, it would take in midis as ringtones. And I remember going to vgmusic.com, I think it still exists, and finding a bunch of midis. That one was probably the one that fit best, and I had that as like my ringtone for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the top three that I can think of off the top of my head. There was probably a bunch more, but I'd say those are top three.
All right. Korshal.
All right, so I'm debating how long I keep this list because how much music I listen to. I won't spend too much time on the particulars. I've been thinking about this all day and re-listening to stuff leading up to this. So here's some quick hits from my various games. I'm gonna name track and game. Two, I will say, were like some of the things that define me as a kid. So I'll elaborate on those quick and then list other ones quickly. So from Mega Man X1, Boomerang Kwanger was like a life changer for me. When I heard that song, that was the one that made me go like, holy cow, is music good? And like, is one of the things too with Mega Man in particular, as a quick aside, I really appreciate Mega Man music because of how punchy it is, but how easy it is to realize what each part of that track is doing. And like that's a good thing about 8-bit and 16-bit music in particular, is that you can dissect it very easily to figure out like the building blocks of what makes that song good. And that Kawanger is one of those that made me go like, wow, I can see the foundation here that makes this song rip. And I'm so in for it. I've listened to it a ton. And then my second favorite game, Donkey Kong Country 1, Fear Factory, was pretty much the same exact thing. When I got to that point in the game, you're like, you're in the zone. This is like serious business now. And that song is incredible. It's kind of the opposite, where like how that game does its instruments on like the SFC player, because I actually went like tier ranking the Donkey Kong trilogy games not too long ago. You like the wavetables in that song and how it blends everything together. That's how Wise does the soundtracks in that in particular really changed the game and how you viewed what 16-bit music could do. There's a lot of credit to that game's soundtrack and like what it awoke in me. So there's those. All right, quick fire hits though of other songs I really like a lot. Crazy Robo from Sonic Adventure 1 helped awaken me to saxophones. That song's really good. Sound tests in my portable games. Vela Nova from Sonic Rush is really, really good. I mentioned Dark Mind, and I would also say the Dark Meta Knight song from Amazing Mirror. I spent literal hours listening to DDD's theme, specifically from Nightmare in Dreamland, when I heard the brass in that. I was like, I'm here forever to listen to this. Then other rapid fire stuff, Hidden by Night from Spectre of Torment for Shovel Knight is a really good song. I like Trap Factory from Mega Man ZX is another one I've listened to. Here Comes the Name Debate of the Ages. Hydrosity Act 2 is one I really like.
Yep.
I listened to Chaos Angel Act 1 out of Sonic Advance 3 to death because it's so heckin' good. And then for two also newer, kind of lesser known-ish indie games I wanted to like point out too because I really like their composers. Arc Stage 1 from Gravity Circuit is really heckin' good. That game in general is amazing, and it's getting a sequel, which I'm very stoked about. And then, similarly to Star Fox, I'm going to shout out X Zodiac, the indie game Star Fox alike, that has a really good composer. There's a stage there called Espionage Infiltration, which hits the vibes just right. That is also a great song. If people are taking down a list as I go, listen to all of these. They're all great. You'll probably discover games you like at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Becky, what about you?
Okay, well, I got a really varied list. One thing about me is that I really like music that gives you goosebumps. I really like music that has kind of a creepy factor to it. So, going off of that, I had mentioned Secret of Mana earlier, and one of the tracks that I really loved was called The Oracle, which is the background music that plays against the penultimate boss battle against Darklich. It is amazing that the Super Nintendo can make sounds like that. It is techno before like techno was mainstream, 30-second notes. I swear to God. And it's one of those tracks MIDIs cannot. It can make a pale imitation, but it cannot. I mean, it is one of the most awesome tracks that a Super Nintendo can produce. For some more modern things, let's see. I have a whole list written out, but I'm just going to name some of my favorites. Octopath Traveler 2, Partitio's theme is a really big favorite of mine. It's doesn't really sound that much out of place in the world that it takes place in, which is good, but it also does sound like a sitcom opening theme.
Yeah.
Fire Emblem Three Houses, there is a track called Guardian of Starlight, which is the music that plays when you're meeting with Bishop Rhea in her offices. It's this very ethereal piece of music, and it really gives you this feel of beauty and power, and like it's very calming, but it has kind of like an edge to it, considering the type of person that Lady Rhea is. For indies, Cave Story, Labyrinth Fight, that is one of my favorite tracks.
That one. I remember that one.
Yep. From Coffee Talk 2, there is a track called Sweetheart Latte, which is a really fun and rhythmic track. Let's see, and then probably one of my favorite, it doesn't really have a track name, but the shop music when people are buying from your shop in Style Savvy Trendsetters. It starts out with just a piano melody, but as you add more and more clothing onto your customer's purchase, there's more instruments that are added, and the song becomes more well-rounded and more complete as you complete the person's style.
All right. That's actually a very good list. What about you, John?
So As I'm hearing everybody else's answers, I'm still trying to come up with my own, as I don't have a definitive list, but there are certain standouts among many that I've listened to over my time. One that I've picked up on over the recent years after recently clearing this game for the very first time, I'll say about a year and a half ago, is the Fierce Battle from Final Fantasy VI. Not the Seismic
Mm.
Battle, that's the one that everybody else knows. That one's really good. The Fierce Battle, this track first plays in the entire game once Kefka summons the floating continent, and one of the enemies, the boss enemies that you run into during your how would you say pursuit for Kefka before he discombobulates the measures of the warring triad, is this gigantic beast known as the Ultima Weapon, who self-proclaimed as a weapon of mass destruction. And given the absolute high intensity of, like, not just the tempo being fast, but hearing instruments that are never used in any other track in the entire game for that one specific moment. And not just for that one moment, because later on in the game, you have to fight each of the statues in the Warring Triad itself. And each of those statues features the exact same tune. Listen, the intensity of the Fierce Battle from Final Fantasy VI is unmatched compared to anything else I've listened to over the years. Uematsu-san, you are great. Please continue to do what you do as best you can. Some other favorites of mine from a wide variety of games. I'll give you three old school ones. Um, Avatar of Flame from Elemental Master on Sega Genesis. Um, Mind's Eye from Tempest 2000 on the Atari Jaguar. Banger game, by the way.
Hmm.
Another one of my favorites on the Super NES is
Can you repeat that answer? Because you're kind of cutting out, John.
Dracula X.
John, can you repeat that answer, please?
Opus 30. Yep.
You're cutting in and out a bit.
Your video is also frozen too.
Oh,
All right. So I mentioned my little spiel about the Fierce Battle from Final Fantasy VI,
you did.
which is a banger track, by the way. If you haven't listened to it or made it that far into the game, I would highly suggest that you give it a shot because it's amazing in every sense of that word. But my other mentions, I'll do 3 retro, 3 modern, 3 indie. For 3 more retro, I recommend Avatar of Flame from Elemental Master, Mind's Eye from Tempest 2000 on the Atari Jaguar, and another one on the Super NES that I really, really like is the Fish Town Trade City theme from Breath of Fire. For 3 modern games, I'll say The Spirit Tree from Ori and the Blind Forest. It's a nice little conversion of the main melody. City on the Mesa, Onwards to Meridian from Horizon Zero Dawn is beautiful in every sense of a relaxing village vibe. It's great. 3 for modern, Drayton from Minecraft. One of the It's more modern Minecraft music in the sense, but it still gives you that connection that everything's going back to the beginning. And it feels so nice listening to that one every now and again, be it survival or creative. 3 indie tracks that I really love. Point of No Return, areas 12 through 15 from Escatos. It is a vertically scrolling shooter that, and the specific track plays during the very ending moments of the game, just before the final area. Good stuff going on there. Triumph from Bit Trip Runner. Oh my goodness, Bit Trip, my favorite rhythm and retro series of all time. And they were all indie games. It's nice to see everything coming back to form.
Yep.
And a third one for indie for me is In the Halls of the Usurper from Shovel Knight. The
Nice.
King Knight stage theme is... Oh, I can't even
Great.
explain it. It's so good. And the
I
rival
love that one.
arrangement
I've
just turns
remixed
up
it.
to a T.
Yep.
I just gotta say, I can't believe you made me freak out given the Eschados shout out. Because man, that soundtrack's good. I know that one. You
gotta-
said the song I listened to the most out of it. I was like, my heart.
As Shadows, I gotta listen to it.
Oh,
I'll keep that in mind. All right. So individual tracks. There's way too many. Like I could always name like some of the big ones that you could think of, like obviously the Mario theme or the Zelda theme and all that. Final Fantasy themes. Like there's so many great tracks from Final Fantasy. But specifically for Final Fantasy VI, for me, like if there's a track that I absolutely love, a lot in that game, I absolutely love let's see. I love Setzer's theme. I absolutely love the theme, like Locke's theme I love. And also like I think it was Narsh, like the first time you go to. Like it has a huge jazz mood. I love it. And of course Dancing Mad. I love Dancing Mad. And not part of Dancing Mad, all of it.
All of Dancing Mad.
It's like
fantastic.
It's like a near 20-minute experience for a track. It's a very grandiose track for a final fight. I also have there's a specific track, if you ever like back in the mid 90s, I remember that Nintendo Power was giving out a CD soundtrack for the game Killer Instinct. It was called Killer Cuts. It was like the remixes of the arcade music. It was to hype people up before the Super Nintendo version release. There was a track in there that was not in the game, but it was just in there. It's a Jungle. It was pretty much like typical Eurobeat music from 1995 that nobody has ever seen coming. It's so good. It's a fucking banger. I highly recommend it. It's a Jungle, Killer Instinct. It's amazing. That's number one. That's another one. Another one that I recommend is in terms of individual tracks. I actually really love like a lot of Mega Man music, but my favorite one specifically from the Mega Man X, from the first Mega Man X, like everyone talks about how great Storm Eagle track is. Like I love Storm Eagle. But I also happen to love Armored Armadillo's track.
Yes.
I thought that was amazing. And going into Mega Man X4, my favorite tracks from that game, I love Jet Stingray. I love Flame, like a Magma Dragoon. Storm Owl, Split Mushroom is so good. Like there's so many great tracks in that game. Pretty much like I'm a huge fan of fighting games. Fighting games have amazing music. Whether if you're listening to music with like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, and here's the thing. A lot of the music from like Tekken 3, 4, 5, and some small parts of 6 and 7, one of the composers from those games is Kichio. I think I misspelled his name, but Kichio Kabe. He does Nier, like Nier Automata. He does the Nier games. It sounds so good. I think because like the music for those games, like they wanted to try to up the ante each and every time with all these beats. That's what they were going for, like, because music that you would listen to in the club back in the mid to late 90s. Like Tekken 1 and Tekken 2 were just like regular standard music you would normally hear, but Tekken 3 just went the extra mile because they wanted to do something that no video game company at the time was doing. And now it got to the point, and I remember they were criticized for, like, they were criticized by the game testers saying, no, this music's not going to fly. People are going to like it. Why don't you make music that rivals Virtua Fighter? And that angered all the composers, and then they just did what they did anyway, and it was a hit. There's a reason that it's one of the best-selling fighting games of all time, like Tekken 3 was. But then you have specifically from that soundtrack that I absolutely loved. Like it from the arcade, because like there's two versions. There's the arcade version, and then there's the arranged. The arranged on the PS1 is the remix soundtrack, but the Heihachi theme is so good on both, but especially the PlayStation version of it. And speaking of soundtracks that are very good, I'm partial to Daytona USA for arcades or Sega Saturn, like Daytona, let's go away, stuff like that. I grew up with that. I grew up with the Sega Rally Championship soundtrack. Even though I didn't play the game as much, I remember the soundtrack more. I also love, what else do I love? There's a lot. Pretty much anything that's done by like Nintendo, like anything that's done by Sega, Capcom, Rare. I absolutely love them all. Square Enix. Way too many tracks to count. Because I could be here all day if I wanted to, but that's a testament to how much I could think of all these video game soundtracks. One more that I'll think of before we go to the next question is that I also love music from Konami, and I also love music from Castlevania, especially from Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Lost Painting, What is a Man, Miserable Power Secrets. I absolutely love the entire soundtrack but I'll talk about the soundtracks later, but specifically for Castlevania Symphony of the Night, if I had to pick like Lost Painting, and the only other track I'll bring up is like when you get inside Dracula's castle as Alucard for the first time, it sounds so good. So those are some individual tracks that I have in mind. I could be here all day with this. Like it'll be thousands and thousands of tracks because there's just that many great tracks. We're gonna start with Korshal on this one. So we talked about individual tracks. Now we're gonna talk about video game soundtracks. Which one's your favorites?
Oh, so definitely much like the individual tracks. You're just picking favorites from all the children you love anyways, right? Like,
Yeah.
There's whatever I don't mention here is not because I also don't like absolutely adore them. There's just too much, like you were saying, like especially when I've had years and years of listening to these things. But definitely I would say like this does tie into my favorite games, but it's because still it's like hand in hand that the games themselves also made me listen to the music a lot and how much I ended up liking them. Was definitely DKC1 and Mega Man X1. Those are two that are like, I wish I owned physically. I collect a bunch of soundtrack CDs when I can. So instead of having like mainstream artists, my music shelf is a bunch of just CDs, either from new printings of soundtracks that I can get when they come up, or I hunt down exclusively old ones. I wish I had Mega Man X1 as a soundtrack. I recently got DKC 1 as a CD to join my collection, and I heckin' love those. Other ones that are like let me just boot this up as I'm at work, like headphones in mode, my comfort soundtracks. Sonic Adventure 1 is such a wild, like varied experience, and the synths. I am a huge sucker for like 90s era, like Korg, like style synths, and there's a lot in that game in particular that like if they were any slower in pace, they'd be like the best Weather Channel style instrumentations.
Yes.
That isn't just the live guitar that's recorded for those soundtracks in 1 and 2. But like Sonic Adventure 1 is an absolute delight, and I'm never bored listening to like any of the songs. And you know, it introduced me to Crush 40, our favorite Sonic butt rock band. That I also have a CD of theirs. Not quite a game soundtrack by themselves, but I do happen to have a lot of their music as like the Sonic best of, because of how much listening to Open Your Heart like influenced me. And you're just like, you never pay attention to the lyrics until you're older and you finally like hear what you're saying. You're like, this is such delightfully surface level, like superficial lyrics in every Sonic game ever. But you're like, you know what? It hits just right. It knows what it wants to do, and I really commend it for that. I don't want to take forever rambling, but I will also say, from like the composers I follow who do a lot of indie stuff, Gravity Circuit is going to get the shout out again. I had already liked its composer, Dominic Nidmark, leading up to this point, and I started making my own music because of me listening to his soundtracks, specifically from a delightful little run and gun called Mighty Goose. That was my transformational, I'm going to start making music now, and it's because of this soundtrack. But then Gravity Circuit, when you hear that, you're like, my man found his A game. Gravity Circuit, we're talking like Eurobeat-esque stuff before, when you're talking about like what you really like to. Nidmark is very much tied to like the sense and impact of a lot of the sound profile to Eurobeat, and I heckin' love that stuff. So Gravity Circuit is very much a soundtrack I listen to a ton. Final shout out to another indie verse. I like Jake Kaufman's stuff a lot, and he was the one we mentioned, Shovel Knight. He did do the Shantae series before he departed from Way Forward, and Pirate's Curse is an excellent soundtrack that I really like listening to quite a bit. And it's really like the chiptune of the primary Shovel Knight games, or even like in Mina and stuff, really hides how much my man likes funk. He does a lot of like funk and disco when he doesn't have to stay to like hardware constraints. And I think that's a good showcase of some of like the breadth that he has when it comes to different types of songs for that. And I really recommend that. Like, he is a good guy. I'm going to stop there so I don't ramble forever. But I would say those immediate hits are like, yeah, those are ones I could listen to every day and never get bored.
All right. Very good choices. Your turn, Becky.
Okay. Well, so I actually brought a couple of the soundtracks that I collect with me, so I'll show off a couple of my favorites. So we have here Persona 5, which is one of my more recent favorites. It's very in your face. It's very powerful. I absolutely love the rain version of Beneath the Mask. It's one of my favorite town themes. Next one is one that I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with, but the Zero Escape trilogy.
Yes.
Yep. So this is mostly by Shinji Hosoe, and Virtue's Last Reward contains some of my most favorite tracks. Basically, it has the right balance of creepiness and sinisterness and urgency to solve all those puzzles. For a little bit more energy, there is The World Ends With You. Original DS version, I do have to say that I prefer the music on the original DS version. A Lullaby With You is a much better ending song. For a little bit more of a classical bent, Octopath Traveler.
Yes.
Also, I don't have any records for it, but Stardew Valley is a really nice and relaxing collection of music.
Yeah.
I also mentioned Coffee Talk. I am eagerly awaiting the release of the soundtrack for Coffee Talk Tokyo.
All right.
Another couple of interesting ones. Let's see here. Now this is creepiness at its best. Yume Nikki. I don't know if you have heard of this one, but it is based on a Japanese RPG maker game that it has a very creepy atmosphere.
I actually need to look into it. I don't think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it is in its simplicity, it's very effective. Also have a couple of interesting choices here. Trauma Team. Oh no, Trauma Center, I'm sorry.
Trauma Center, yeah.
Yep.
That's a series I still got to get to.
I ordered this directly from Japan. It took 3 months to get here, but it was so worth it. Gnosia. Which so it's a social deduction game, kind of like what if Kotaro Uchikoshi did Among Us. Wait, am I getting? Did I say Kotaro Uchikoshi? Is he the guy that did the Zero Escape trilogy? Because I don't want to get him mixed up with the guy who did Madoka Magica. I got this a while back when I first had the game, but I got rid of the game, but I love the music.
Kotaro Uchikoshi?
Yes.
That's not the composer, that's the writer.
Okay.
The composer is Shinji Hosoe.
Oh, of course. And then I have these also imported from Japan, Fire Emblem Three Houses and Breath of the Wild.
Nice. I gotta get the Breath of the Wild. I gotta get the Breath of the Wild soundtrack and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, I have the Three Houses soundtrack. It's so good. It lives. I also got the Fire Emblem Heroes soundtrack when they did an anniversary thing of that with all the music on it. So they get to live together next to the Fae plush.
I also have this. It is the soundtrack to Garden Story, which is an indie game that I reviewed for Nintendo Force that I really liked. It is also the first and last time I'm ever getting a record from Limited Run.
Yeah, Limited Run sucks. All right, John, your turn. Favorite video game soundtracks this time.
Okay, Becky, I have to quickly acknowledge that you mentioned Shinji Hosoe because he's become one of my favorite composers over the years. He did the music for a lot of Namco arcade games, namely Ridge Racer, and my two favorite arcade games of all time, Dragon Spirit and Dragon Saber. Dragon Spirit and Dragon Saber are essentially space shooters, but they're not space shooters. You're playing as a knight who transforms into a dragon, and you're soaring lands beyond, fighting off against a bunch of other eldritch creatures. It is an amazing atmosphere, and the music that plays throughout them is just so much of a hard rock epic. It's amazing for what they did. 1987 and 1990 are their respective years. If ever you get a chance to do your audio research on them, I would highly suggest that you do. Those ones are amazing. More soundtracks I really like. I'll go from however many eras I can, but more from PS1. I'm a big fan of the music from R4, Ridge Racer Type 4, Spyro, Year of the Dragon. Shellshock did mention a lot of love for Castlevania Symphony of the Night, but I have to one up him, quote unquote, and say Castlevania Order of Ecclesia. It's the perfect Castlevania. I'm not bashing anything. I have too much love for that one. Those ones are really good. I'm piggybacking off of Korshal and their love for Mega Man music and saying I really love the soundtrack from Mega Man 10. It was the one I spent the most time on from all my years of video gaming, and it's basically the one that stuck out for me the most. It's the one I have memorized the most of. It's the one I've basically, when I first played it back on WiiWare, I made it the utmost effort to get every single challenge done in gold time, every single achievement in as many categories for it as I can find. What an amazing time Mega Man 10 is. More soundtracks I really love. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, of course. You can never go wrong with that one. Golden Axe 2 is another one of my favorite Sega Genesis soundtracks. Phantasy Star 4, The End of the Millennium. I mentioned something about Sega Genesis tracks during one of the introductory questions, but Phantasy Star is just something else. I'm also a really big fan of ambient style sounding music. For example, Jack and Daxter, The Precursor Legacy, PlayStation 2. It's 90% ambient music, but given each designated area of the game you're playing in, everything just blends in so well. I don't know what went into the minds of Andy Gavin and Jason Rubin, the co-writers for that game, to make everything just match up so perfectly with their destined environments. But they have a lot of good stuff going on from them. Also, really big fan of the Bit Trip series. I'm sure I mentioned this already, but Bit Trip Beat all the way to Flux. Ooh. Literally the most perfect blend of rhythm and retro. I don't even know if there are any other blends of rhythm and retro, but if there are, Bit Trip is at like the top of the food chain.
Those are some great soundtracks. The main Bit Trip game that I played were like the runner games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I played Bit Trip Runner, Runner 2. I never really played Runner 3, so I have to play it at some point. So yeah,
Bit Trip games plays differently. I want to say except for Beat and Flux, and the reason Beat and Flux play similarly is because of a story continuity. But each game in that entire series, aside from the Runner quintology or however many it is, plays very differently from one another, and they're like the rhythm blend is definitely there once you catch eyes.
yep. I'll have to play some of the other Bit Trip games in the future. What? All right, Andy, what about you?
All right, strap in. You're in for a ride. First, we're gonna start out. I am an avid Rare fan. We got the Rare 40th anniversary vinyl collection. It has everything in it. Sea of Thieves, Banjo, Jet Force Gemini, Connect Sports, Viva Pinata, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Cameo, all good stuff. Grant Kirkhope. You get Jamie Hughes, David Wise, Robin Beanland. Any of those four? That's here, right here. That's the top one. That's not it though. I wanted to get that out of the way. That's the obvious answer. Donkey Kong Bonanza, DK64, those are big ones. Finishing Donkey Kong Bonanza, I was obsessed with the credits song. I won't go too far into it because spoilers if you haven't seen it. Anything if you've ever played the indie game Tadpole Trouble by the guy who did the
He's one of
Brawl in
my
the Family
colleagues.
webcomic. Yeah. It's a great game and a fantastic soundtrack. Definitely check it out. It's on Switch and I think on Steam. This might be a cop out, but Mario Kart World and Smash Ultimate, because they have amazing collections of their the things that are any of the Mario branded stuff. I've been listening to all of the Mario Kart World free roam soundtracks that have come out since on Nintendo Music. That's my ride back and forth to work. And I am an avid fan. Splatoon 3, they have albums and albums of their in-game musicians, and all of their songs are great. Another one that might be a little controversial, I'm a big fan of the Sonic R soundtrack.
So am I.
And
So
That's
am
not
I.
controversial at
You know,
all.
soundtrack.
So am I.
Also,
Like-
super shout out to Grab by the Ghoulies. I didn't mention that when I was talking about this, but another one of my favorites. Let's see. Did I miss one? I actually wrote a list for this one. I think those are all the ones that I wrote down. Anything by Koji Kondo as well, Mario and Zelda and all of that fun stuff.
Yep.
But soundtracks, that we'll just stop there.
All right. All right. Soundtracks. Where do I begin? All right. Pretty much anything that's from Street Fighter, like mainly Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter 4, 5, 6. There is no Street Fighter 7, not yet, not for 10 years, because they're still supporting Street Fighter 6. I love all the Tekken games, soundtracks. I love the Mortal Kombat music. Like my go-to for Mortal Kombat are usually 2 and 3. Like 2 and not just regular 3, but Ultimate 3. My nostalgia right there. Preferably the arcade versions. I also love Killer Instinct soundtrack from the arcade. Killer Instinct 2 is pretty good as well, but I prefer the first one, mainly because of the vibes. I love, let's see, pretty much, I grew up with a lot of music from like the King of Fighters series. I grew up with music from Super Smash Brothers, Mario Kart. Like my favorite Mario Kart soundtrack is 8 Deluxe. World is also up there for me. But I also have a soft spot for Mario Kart Double Dash's soundtrack and Mario Kart DS.
Baby Park, right?
Yeah, Baby Park. You can't go wrong with that. I am a huge fan of music from Mega Man. Like the classic series, my favorite ones are 2, Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, Mega Man 5, Mega Man 7, Mega Man 8, Mega Man 10. From the X series, my favorites are from Mega Man X1, Mega Man X4. Those are the 2 that I really love the most from Mega Man X series, and I would also say Mega Man X2. There are some other tracks from like other Mega Man games that I love, but those 2 from Classic and X. I am also a huge fan of Sonic the Hedgehog music because a lot of people are, for me, like Sonic 2 was my first, like as I said in the Sonic podcast last week, that Sonic 2 was my first Sonic game, so I have a huge soft spot for Sonic 2's soundtrack. Or like when you listen to tracks like Chemical Plants, you hear Hilltop Zone, Casino Nights. Like Casino Night is a huge vibe. Or if you want something creepy like Mystic Cave Zone, or if you want something that will completely annoy you, but it still has some good beats. Oil Ocean is kind of like the weakest one, but it's still a pretty good track regardless. Sonic 3 is banger after banger after banger. That's just how it is. Sonic 3 is peak Sonic soundtrack for 2D Sonic. But also you got the adventure games, like both of them, Adventure 1 and 2. I'm not the biggest Sonic Heroes fan, but the soundtrack slaps so hard, especially the theme song. It's really good. That's the thing with Sonic music. Even some of the bad Sonic games still have really good music. Like for example, like I don't really think too highly for Sonic and the Secret Rings, but I do think that it has a pretty good soundtrack. And and I will say though that I love the Sonic Colors soundtrack, Sonic Generations, and even Sonic Shadow Generations, Sonic Frontiers. So many great tracks. Sonic Mania, even though many of it is remixes from previous Sonic games, because they actually brought a couple stages back, mixed in with the new stages. Like Studiopolis Zone is a very great track. It's a bop, like both acts. Mario, I love Mario music. Whatever is like the classics, like Mario's 1, 2, 3, Super Mario World, or even like other 2D Mario games that came later. Like I actually do kind of like some of the new Super Mario Brothers music, but Super Mario Bros. Wonder sounds fantastic. And then you get the 3D Mario games, like obviously 64, Sunshine. But for me, it's all about the Galaxy games and Odyssey. Those are my favorite 3D Mario soundtracks. Although 3D World has a pretty good soundtrack, and Bowser's Fury, especially like when you're fighting against like the Fury Bowser, like I don't know what they were doing with it, but I want more. I want some more. That's all I'm gonna say about Mario. And Zelda music is fantastic. Like pretty much like put any Zelda soundtrack on there. I love it. And Metroid, same thing with Metroid, Kirby, Pokemon, Yeah, Nintendo just knows what they're doing when it comes to music. Like, very rarely they have a bad soundtrack. Very rarely, like, Nintendo has a bad soundtrack, because even some of their like smaller games, or some games that weren't so great, still have pretty good soundtracks. That's just the thing. They have some fantastic soundtracks. Square, Final Fantasy 6 is my favorite. Final Fantasy 9 is a great one too. Final Fantasy 7. I could go on. Like, 10. Like, they have a lot of great soundtracks. And if you want to do indie music, Shovel Knight. And more recently, Mina the Howler has a great soundtrack. I love Mina the Howler. Like, Jake Kaufman was fantastic with all those soundtracks. Like the Shantae music, like pretty much any of them were great. I also happen to love the Ashes Record Gunvolt music. I also love Guacamelee. I could go on, but they're just fantastic soundtracks that I absolutely adore way too much, to the point where, like, I could not stop listening to them. Again, like I said, with the individual tracks, I can go on and on. Like, there's so many fantastic games that I have thousands and thousands of soundtracks I can listen to. But at the same time, not a lot of time to list them all. But there's just way too many good ones. And I also vouch for the Zero Escape soundtracks, Becky. But I just want to bring up, since, like, it was brought up about Shinji Hosoe. He also worked on some of the tech, like just Tekken 1 and Tekken 2 music for the PlayStation. But he also worked on the Street Fighter EX. That's the first 3D Street Fighter. And I'm looking at what else he's done. Oh, Xenosaga. And he's done the Tetris, the Grandmaster soundtracks. Pac-Man 99. Wow. Okay. All right, this dude got range.
Tetris the Grandmaster.
Yes, Tetris the Grandmaster. That's the one. Like those are the hardest, like, games for Tetris, and they have some really good music.
Does anybody remember the Tetris CDI soundtrack? Because that is a banger right there.
I gotta listen to it. I will say though that it's great when you hear, like, tracks that you otherwise would never think to even listen to. But now, I'm going to start with Becky on this one. Have you ever gone to any video game concerts?
I have not, honestly. And there have been a couple that have come to the Boston area that I've really liked to go to, but usually it's hard to get to, or they are late at night and I would need to take time off of work. I would really love to go to, like, I think they just announced an Undertale one, but of course that's sold out within minutes. You know how popular Undertale can be.
Yes.
I think probably the closest that I've come to actually listening to a video game concert would have to be, like, at the Jam Space at PAX East and years past. Like, one time I was going through the halls listening to a couple of people who were playing on their guitars, and then a couple comes by and they're dressed as Bub and Bob, and they start playing the Bust-a-Move theme.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right. I hope you get to go to some video game concerts someday.
Yeah, I really want to.
Yeah. John, what about you?
I have, actually. Saturday, March 23rd, 2024, Distant Worlds music from Final Fantasy was being played live at the Bushnell Theater's Infinity Music Hall in Hartford, Connecticut. Me and a really close friend of mine who's a much bigger Final Fantasy fan than I am, he had gotten 2 tickets for us to go that night, and oh my goodness. It's one thing to listen to that music in the games themselves. It's another to hear them all rearranged live before your very eyes. And oh my goodness, there was a wide variety of music they had played from then. A lot of music from Final Fantasy 7, 9, 10, 14, 15. They played a medley of the Veld and Phantom Forest and Phantom Train themes from Final Fantasy VI. They there was an intermission at one point, and they had started the second half of the show with Liberty Fatale, the opening theme from Final Fantasy VIII. They had done an arrangement of my all-time favorite song from Final Fantasy IV, The Battle with the Four Themes.
Yes.
Ooh, man, that was a really good time. And one of the cool things about the show was more towards the end, it was quite obvious they were going to do an arrangement of One Winged Angel, because who doesn't do One Winged Angel if you're not Final Fantasy? And one of the cool things about it was Arnie Roth, composer of the entire orchestra, had gotten some crowd involvement to chant Sephiroth when the cue came in. And wow, it was a really loud time. On the idea of video game concerts I'm going to, it was recently announced that Sonic the Hedgehog live in concert was going to take place at the Toyota Oakville Theater in Wallingford, Connecticut, somewhere in March 2027.
Oh yeah.
And I'm doing my darndest to make sure I go there, because Sonic music basically just runs my life.
Oh yeah. I'll say this. I hope you have a great time.
Thank you.
All right. Andy, what about you? Have you gone to video game concerts?
I've been to 3, and it's been about 10 years since I've been at my last one. First one I went to April 2013. It was A&G, Ohio, in Cincinnati. We watched Power Glove, which is a video game metal cover band.
Yeah.
Also, technically, my first mosh pit, I think. November 2015, at COSI in Columbus, I got to see the Super Guitar Bros.
Ooh.
Also got to meet Grant Kirkhope there, but that was amazing. And then right after I graduated college, right before my birthday, I treated myself. We went to Video Games Live in Toledo, Ohio,
Oh
January
wow.
2016. For that one, I actually got to dress up as if you've ever beaten Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, at the very end, Banjo gets this like tuxedo outfit. So I wore like my yellow shorts, tuxedo, and my Banjo cosplay that I have, and went to go to a concert in Banjo formal.
Oh nice.
Got to meet Tommy Tallarico for that one, which was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was a fun time. I would go again if I had the opportunity. But yeah, those were the 3 that I went to. I actually, when I went to the Video Games Live one, got a score of the Sonic the Hedgehog medley that they do, signed by Tommy Tallarico and Jack Wall, which were the composer and the conductor.
Yeah.
At the time. It was so good.
Awesome. Korshal?
So I've been the 3 so far. It's been very far back for 2 of them, so I hope my order of operations is right. I remember pretty sure the very first one I went to was also a Video Game Live. I remember that experience primarily for near the end of the concert, because the tickets that me and my group happened to get were in the front right of the auditorium that you're in.
Yeah.
And I really recalled them getting near the end. We talked about One Wing Angel. Of course, that's going to pop up. And it's like a choir-filled electric guitar, hit the rock sort of version of One Wing Angel. And you realize really quick, when you're immediately next to some of the speakers, you cannot make out a balanced version of that song. I mean, it was still a good performance, but you went oh, yeah, when I'm smack dab near a speaker, I'm probably not getting the most comprehensive version of a concert experience, just because the certain instruments and certain parts hit you stronger and drown out others, depending on where you're balanced exactly in the room, because it's not letting the sound fully travel and hit you quite in the balanced way. It was a fun time. Don't get me wrong, but that was an early lesson in oh yeah, I kind of want to be somewhere where I can appreciate every part of the music and not get my ears blasted by the guitar. It was sweet still, but And then after that, I recall getting to the, I don't remember the exact name of it because it's been forever, but when Zelda was doing an orchestrated concert series, that was one I was able to make. And I remember since that was in the 3DS age, everyone's got like, we were just talking about how Street Pass is still like hip and trendy because it is, but that was still like during Limelight where you're just like, a second you could breathe, you're just chocked full of Street Passes the whole time because everyone's brought them. It was a good time. I remember like that was right around like the Skyward Sword like had come out, and it also had essentially like a sample-ish CD of that orchestra movement that was moving around at the time.
Yeah.
And there's so much like it's a lot of memories for me to still have that CD and be like, oh yeah, I remember going to this, and it was a really nice experience. Yeah. I too went to the Sonic Symphony Orchestra when it was going around a couple years back, and I really enjoyed that. I particularly have fond memories of being right in front of an extremely ecstatic woman who was very happy to sing all the vocal songs when the back half of the concert came up, so much so that her wonderful bellowing of the lyrics were my primary form of hearing the lyrics at the time. Like this is no knock on her. She was living the best life. And I really appreciate that she was having a great time. And I wasn't going to tell her to like stop screaming in my ears, but like more power to her. It was like all these concerts have great vibes. And that one especially was good. I remember an excellent Eggman cosplayer was like front and center in the lobby when people were starting to file in and like get in their spots for that. And he looked like he was having a ball. And I have booked tickets for the new Sonic concert for later in the year. It's going to come around my area. Nice. So that will be my 4th when I get to that. So currently 3. And I've enjoyed all of them. Kind of got my various lessons of, where should I sit? Or like to bring earplugs next time is on my list for when the vocal tracks kick in, just in case I have other fellow enthusiastic Sonic fans screaming their hearts out and having the best time. So you learn a little bit with each concert time, but I've enjoyed them all, and that's why I'm going to keep going to them if it's like close enough and reasonable for me to go to.
All right, sounds good. Like I'm glad you had a great time.
I'm sorry, I just said I totally forgot. I did also make the Pokemon one. I'm not gonna lie, my mod was reminding me. Man, I have a storied history with these. I've been to too many. Oops.
Yep. It's all good. So, like I said for Becky, I hope that you do get to go to a concert someday for video games. But I'm really glad to hear like what Jon, Andy, and Korshal had to say regarding their time at different video game concerts. But for me, I've been to a couple. So I've been to a total of 3 Zelda concerts, one in 2012 and 2013, both at Madison Square Garden in New York City, and 2015 in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. I've also been to the Pokemon Symphony in 2015, also in Madison Square Garden. And with the Zelda concerts, like, just the music sounds amazing. Like, the renditions of, like, all the Zelda music. Although, in 2012, the latest game at the time was Skyward Sword. So, they got to do Skyward Sword music because they were still celebrating the 30th anniversary at the time. Actually, 25th anniversary at the time. And then when they did Encore, everyone kept chanting, like the one soundtrack that they kept chanting for more than anything was for Majora's Mask. Like they wanted Majora's Mask more than anything, and they saved that for the end. They've always saved Majora for the end because they knew that's what people wanted. They wanted them to like make them wait until when it was at the end, then play Majora. 2015 was a bit different because 2013 they were celebrating A Link Between Worlds. 2015 was around the time where like Triforce Heroes was out, like because Breath of the Wild got delayed to 2016, which eventually got delayed to 2017. But yeah, but for Pokemon, like we had like the latest games at the time of the Pokemon Symphony was Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and all the Pokemon music was amazing. I loved it so much. Loved all the symphonic remixes. They went all out with those, so I went and had a great time with everybody. Like my friends and I all enjoyed it. Another one I went to, this was around 2018. So Capcom actually did a series of concerts called Capcom Live. They actually did one in New York City, and there was a contest I remember that there was a contest, like, because my group Switch and Play NYC, we helped run a contest, and we picked out a winner. And what happened was that my buddy Silverstone Condor and I, we both went, and then we had like two other friends of ours, like Adam and Michelle. Like we all had a fantastic time together. Unfortunately, the person who won that contest that had the ticket was not able to make it, but we had fun. They just played a bunch of music from Capcom games like Street Fighter, Monster Hunter, Mega Man, Resident Evil, Devil May Cry. They went all out, like Ace Attorney. Like they had so many different Capcom soundtracks, Okami, and then they just played random music for the hell of it. And then the only other concerts I went to, the Sonic Symphony back in 2024 when they went in New York City, and that was, I think, out of all the concerts I went to, that was probably the best one. And the reason that it was the best one is because I was with my buddies. I was with Silverstone Condor, MMG Mike, Hito Retro Gaming, and Mullen Maple, Maverick Fight, and many others. We all had a blast. We all just listened to the music for Sonic. It was amazing. We all have a great time. The energy was fantastic. It was packed filled with people singing every single rendition of Sonic music, like Live and Learn, like Night in the Wind, What I'm Made Of, and so many others. Like I could just go on and on with it, but the energy was unreal. I don't think I will ever see anything like that ever again afterwards, but the experience just felt amazing, because that showed how a lot of us New Yorkers who love Sonic, we just could not stop singing music from Sonic. The only other concert I went to after that was the Shovel Knight concerts. Yeah. So Silver and I got to go because Silver won 2 tickets in a Blue Sky contest, and I went with him, and we both went, and it was great. Probably it was a smaller scale concert especially compared to Sonic, and the Zelda concerts, but it was still a great time. The venue was great. It was actually right around Times Square. We had a blast listening to the music from Shovel Knights. They played pretty much every track. They even did some preview tracks with Mina the Howler at the end because they were hyping up Mina, and that was at the time, Mina was supposed to come out on Halloween last year before they decided to delay the game to this year. But yeah, those are the only concerts I went to. I'm pretty certain that that's all of them. I don't think I've went to anything else in regards to video game music. So there were others I wanted to go to, but one thing led to another, and unfortunately I couldn't make some of them, like the Stardew Valley. I never got a chance to go. And I wanted to go to Final Fantasy Distant Worlds when it was here in New York City, but it happened so close to the Sonic concert, and I could either do one or the other. I couldn't do both. But I will be going to the Sonic concert again next year, as well as the Crush 40 concert with Johnny Gioli. That's next year as well. Funny enough, originally there were no dates for the East Coast for the Sonic concert, but then they just recently announced dates the other day. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun just to do those 2 concerts soon. So yeah, Now we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do music trivia. Yes, that's right. We're doing music trivia. I wanted to keep this a surprise to everybody that's watching. Like, I already briefed this to you guys that I'm going to do music trivia, but now we're going to actually do it. So, the way we're going to do it is we are going to be, like, I'm going to be playing a bunch of music. I'm going to play it on Discord, and then I'm going to play for a minute. And then what I'm going to do is that I want to see if you guys guess it. Like, I'm not sure how many I'm gonna do, but it's not gonna be. It's probably gonna be like maybe like 20 minutes at most of this. But let me see what I can find. So I just want to test all four of you in regards to like what you all know. Preliminaries for Tarvel's test. Ironically enough, originally like I wanted Tarvel to be a part of this podcast, but unfortunately scheduling conflicts. But I would love to have him on for music trivia again. But yeah. So I want to know how much you really know video game music. There's going to be some easy stuff, and I'm going to lead to some stuff that people are probably not going to know unless maybe like you might actually like recognize this or that. Let me see what I can find.
Everyone's niches come to life.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Like, so
That's it. Both earbuds are going in.
yep. Get your earbuds ready. Have everything ready because I'm gonna play some music. It'll go into the Discord. I have a bot that I'm gonna use where like it will just come into the call, and then after like a minute passes, I'm gonna pause it, and then if no one has a guess, then I'll say what it is. Both earbuds going in is like Ash turning his hat around for a serious catch. Well, guess what? I'm doing that right now.
I did want to see, so in case
like this.
Just for rules, so we know for competition. If we know answers, do you want us to like privately DM you so we can like potentially hear other people's answers and be like, oh yeah, now that you said this, I think it's this, or is it just we'll just say it here first on mic anyways? I figured I'd check.
I would say here on mic. However, it means that you guys cannot look at the Twitch chat because more likely everybody's gonna wanna get because everyone in chat can guess too. It's all for fun at the end of it all. All right, so let me find the first one. All right, so let me.
Right, chat, you're getting minimized.
Yeah, minimize chat, but it's all good because I want them to have all the fun too. All right, but I will only acknowledge the answers from like any of you guys in terms of like who gets it right. So get ready. Let me just find the first track. All right, so. All right. Okay, I'm not sure how many people will get this one right. I know for a fact that this is a game that I actually loved growing up. But let me actually play this track right here. Oh, damn, that's the link to the playlist. I actually want the link to just the song itself. All right, give me 1 second. All right. Cool. All right. Here's the first one. And if anyone in chat knows it, you could answer as well. But
this is giving bloody roar.
This seems very Super Nintendo.
you think it's Super Nintendo?
I was thinking more PlayStation, Nintendo 64 era.
All right. What are you thinking, Korshal?
Instruments make me think it's like Capcom era CP2 arcade kind of stuff. I'm not as familiar with that.
All right. All right. I'm gonna pause that. All right. So, all right. Any guesses?
Well, I did say that Bloody Roar.
It's not Bloody Roar.
Well done.
We don't get. This isn't like Tarvel's test where you get minus points if you get it wrong, right?
No, no minus points. You don't have to worry about that.
Let's say Cruising USA then.
Nope.
Okay, total random guess. Final Fight.
No.
Take my one swing. Is it? Would it be like the arcade version of like the X-Men arcade?
Nope.
Like the beat 'em up?
Nope. The correct answer is Virtua Fighter 2.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very nice.
Yeah, very good game. Like one of my favorite fighting games from that era. All right, so let me find. Okay, so let me find something else. Okay, all right. What's next? Oh, I know what's gonna be next.
I was almost close with the Bloody Roar guess, though.
You were the closest in terms of in terms of genre, but no.
I heard the wolf howl, and that was my immediate instinct was Bloody Roar.
Let's see. Oh, I got one. Let's see. I got the track that I'm gonna go with. All right. Okay, I got one. Let me go ahead and get the link, and then what I'm gonna do is play it right here. Oh, again, I gotta actually go into the video itself because otherwise it's gonna give me a playlist, and that's not what I want. I hate when YouTube does that with links sometimes, but that's another problem for another day. All right, so next track.
I know this one.
You
So
do?
do I.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll let it go for just a minute. The funny thing is this track is actually a minute long, so...
Very nice.
In fact, while this is playing, I'm gonna get the next track after that.
I'm going to go grab something that I think
All right.
tracks.
All right. The track ended, so now my question is, I'm gonna ask John first, since you were the one who said I know this first. What is it?
This is Rydia's theme from Final Fantasy IV.
And you're correct. That is correct. That is Rydia's theme from Final Fantasy IV. Or
I listen to this one pretty often because I have a playlist of video game music that I specifically use for like relax and chill time. Usually I have it playing on the side when I'm asleep. And one of the tracks in that playlist is Rydia's theme from Final Fantasy IV.
all right. All right.
I knew it tickled my brain a little bit. It's the only Final Fantasy game I've played.
All right.
Well,
It's my favorite one out of all the ones I've played.
All right, so from here on out, if whoever says I know it, or I have a guess, first, I'm gonna go with you first, and then after that, like I'll go in any order based on like who wants to take a guess. So here's the next track. I'm gonna play for a minute, and whoever knows it, when the minute is up, I will go to you. So here it is. Just waiting for it to.
Oh, yep. Done.
I think I heard Korshal. All right. So who knows it first?
You give me half a second with that guitar. And you're like, yeah.
Heard that guitar screech and I recognized it immediately. I'm overdue for a replay of this game.
All right. Just a little bit more. You gotta admit the music is really good though.
Oh, yeah.
That
All-time great here.
Yep. All right, I will stop the music here. Korshal?
Oh, that is our lovely Metal Harbor from Sonic Adventure 2.
Yep, that is correct. Ding, ding, ding.
Yes.
All right. So now let me go and start up the next one. All right. Here we go.
Oh,
Got it.
I saw Andy first.
yeah, I saw the physical movement. I give it that to him.
All right, I'll let it play for a minute, just to be fair.
Why'd you move the light stick to this one? I mean, if anything, you'd probably want to do it like really slowly. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. I think what I'll do is I'll stop it right here. Andy?
All right, I'm gonna say that this is. I'm gonna second guess myself, and I thought this was the dam from GoldenEye 007, but after like part of it, then it started sounding different. I'm like, oh wait, maybe I don't actually know this.
All right. But do you know the game?
GoldenEye 007.
Yes, it is GoldenEye 007. Yes. The archives.
Archives.
Like,
Okay.
as soon as like the
But you got the
first
game.
notes hit, I'm like listening to that. Yeah, that's definitely James Bond there.
All right. Now here is the next one, and away we go. You know it, Becky? Oh.
Just jamming.
See if anyone in chat knows it.
I know firmly who made this. I just can't say what it's from. I recognize these instruments for sure. I'd have an educated guess just based on who it comes from.
All right, I will stop the music. Okay. So Korshal, you said you have an educated guess. What do you think it is?
So this firmly sounds like CP2 Capcom. If I was thinking the Pride thing was, I'm like, this is obviously arcade Capcom.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm gonna put out on that note, and like, it's a game everybody likes. So I'm gonna say Marvel vs. Capcom 2. We're gonna try that.
No, incorrect. All right. Any guesses?
I got nothing.
I would like to guess Street Fighter Alpha 2.
Ooh,
I will say you are correct.
nice.
And do you know the character it's based off of?
Sakura?
Yes, correct.
Ooh,
It is Sakura.
okay. Nice.
Good job.
Awesome. It is Sakura's theme from Street Fighter Alpha 2. Now
It
here's
was a very CPS2 style sound font, so I had to guess somewhere from that era. And that melody was very familiar to me. I had to put the pieces together.
now the next one. Get ready for this.
Ready?
You got? Do you have it, Andy?
Yes.
I'll let it play. I'll let it play at first.
I've definitely heard of this come up somewhere, but I can't tell you what it's from. I've seen other people listen to this.
I just wanted to troll.
Is this a cat walking on a keyboard?
Worse. Oh my god. Oh my
I
god.
think I prefer the cat walking on a
All
keyboard.
right, Andy, go right ahead. Go right ahead, Andy.
So it's Resident Evil Director's Cut. It's the basement.
Yes, correct.
And it only sounds that way because they mixed up a sound font. It actually is supposed to sound a lot creepier.
It is. It's just funny. I just kind of wanted to.
That's in the game.
I wanted to troll all of you. Yeah, that soundtrack is off the rails. Like that version of the soundtrack. Let's see. Oh, I got another one.
Actually, DualShock version of Resident Evil Director's Cut.
All right. Let's see.
Speaking of Resident Evil, I've only played the original game one time, and oh my goodness, that save room music.
All right, here is the next one. Let me go ahead and get the link. I have it. It's just that I would have got the next one, but that last one was just so funny. I just wanted to see your reactions to it. Oh no, that's the playlist. I don't want to do the playlist. Here it is. 3, 2, 1, go. I will play it for a minute, and then after that, whoever wants to guess first. Oh. We'll play it for a minute, and then we'll let you guess, Becky.
The confidence in her face really said it all.
All we needed to hear was the first 2 notes.
I mean, yeah. This is a great song.
Yeah,
I love the remixes we've had of it from official stuff since.
Those trumpets, though.
That's such good synth brass. Oh my goodness.
I love the instruments in this game a ton. I actually have to beat it though. I haven't beaten any version of it. It's the sad part. Yeah, I've started it, but I haven't actually like finished it.
Bookslap says, I could test that this song was superseded by another song later. Well, yeah. Alright. Alright, before I play this next song, let me actually just stop this. Alright, Becky?
Final Fantasy VII. Genova.
Correct. Here's the next one.
I think I know this.
You think you might know that? Okay.
I recognize the sound font.
All right. You think you know this, Becky? All right.
Yep.
Let me just pause.
Okay, is it Ocarina of Time?
No, it's not. Anyone want to guess?
I want to say, I'm going between it's either Majora's Mask or Twilight Princess. Because I'm less familiar with Twilight Princess, but I don't recognize it quite from Majora's Mask. But the sound font sounds very that era Zelda.
Okay.
So I'm going to say Majora's Mask.
And you would be incorrect. Any other guesses?
Okay.
All right, which one of us offers Twilight Princess to the altar and says, like, let's see, this has got to be. Yeah, I was hearing that. The sound wasn't quite N64, at least not the way it likes to do things in my mind.
Mhm.
But I don't think you've ever played this particular game. I actually don't know. Like, I don't remember Twilight Princess enough if I'd be confident in saying it was a Zelda title or not. At least from that one specifically. My brain made me think it's similar to some Disgaea things, but I don't think you'd put that in the list. I'd be surprised. So I will want to stick with the Twilight Princess because I don't know that soundtrack as well as compared to Zelda ones. We'll keep the theme.
All right. You're saying Twilight Princess?
Yep, I'll say that.
That's correct. It is Twilight Princess.
Okay.
All right.
It is Star Lord.
Because you heard the da na na na, and it kind of then went into this like bass line that is very similar to what they have in Ocarina.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of hit the brain.
It kind of sounds a bit like it. All right, next one.
I heard the sitar and thought Ocarina of Time for some reason.
I love the sitar. It's one of my favorite instruments.
Hold up. Right.
The encore,
Hey, I know this
got
one
it.
No, it's not that one. Skip. It's not that one. It's doing a playlist. No wonder. Let me try again, okay? I know which one I'm gonna go with. Is it this one? Yeah, it should be this one. Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go.
I feel like I've just heard this one recently.
Together.
It does give up the same vibe and same energy as Final Countdown, but I wonder what do you guys think it is?
Well, I definitely have a guess. I haven't played the game. I've heard it enough. I'd be like,
All right.
I think it's probably this.
I'll stop the music for the guess now. All right, Korshal?
Is this Symphony of the Night? Is it?
No, it's not Symphony of the Night. Anyone else have any guesses?
I'm
Guess
going to
I'm going
say,
to. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, Andy, you first.
I was going to say Punch Out Wii.
No.
Okay.
I'm running off of some hypotheses here because this sounds very PlayStation era Capcom, and that is a lot more electric guitar in Capcom than you would expect to hear. So I'm going to say something along the lines of Mega Man X6.
That's correct.
Oh, it is from 6. That's why I've heard of it. Man, I don't remember that well enough.
Done.
Awesome. And the Maverick that was based on is Infinity Maginian.
Ooh, that's a nice name.
All right, here's the next one.
I know this one.
All right, we'll let it go for a minute. It's a really good track.
Oh, yeah.
What instrument is that? It's so good.
It sounds good though. I try to find music from different moods. No, nothing beats how funny like that basement theme was. All right, so I'll stop because it already looped once. So, John, what's your guess?
Okay, so this song plays in the Forbidden Library area in Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Lost Painting.
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah, I heard this. I was like, darn it, this one I actually know from Symphony of the Night. Once I heard the little chime of the dings, like the bum 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 bum, I was like, oh great. I wasted my guess one early.
Now
This is how it went.
Now I'm wondering who's gonna guess this one first. Someone's gonna guess it. I just want to see who gets this one first. So let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man.
We're all there.
All right. Damn, all at the same time. I will say I'm actually gonna give it to Becky first once the minute passes because I saw the glow light pop up before Korshal. So I'm gonna do Becky, Korshal, Andy, and then John. In that
I gotta
order.
use my hand.
All right. So while this is playing, let me go find the next track.
I love these tunes. The one thing that at least I know Tarvold has to jump around on mods is I hope the Squeenix legal team doesn't want to like slam the button down in some of this. You might have to do a little bit of cropping depending on what the content system wants to do, I think. Because I feel like he always has to duck around how much audio is played, at least on YouTube.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, I got the next track. Let me go ahead and get it ready. But before I play it, let me stop this track. All right. So, Becky, since I saw the glow stick first, you get to guess first.
Super Mario RPG.
Awesome. And I want to know, do you know what's the name of the track?
Ooh. I don't. I just know that it's like Forbidden Forest or something.
Close. All right. You want to guess the track? The name of the track? Korshal?
Me? Yeah,
you were the next
that's
person.
Beware the Forest Mushroom. The
Yep.
very funny title. I love that. I mean, it's true. It's true for the level, but yeah, classic.
There was a meme back in the 2000s. Like, it was actually a song, Super Mario RPG. It is the only one just for me. That right there. All right. So, let's see who knows this one. I'm actually having a lot more fun with this than I thought.
Yeah.
for us this time. Ooh, I know this one.
Oh,
I saw John first. I saw Andy.
That's okay. I'm just getting the pie.
All right.
the instruments definitely make me like, oh yeah. Once you hear it enough.
Great, now I'm having nostalgia for this game. It was the very first RPG I beat.
The soundtrack, I will say the soundtrack definitely means a lot to me. I'll add that to the list of soundtracks I love. I actually forgot to mention, I don't know why I forgot to mention it, but I love this one. But let me go ahead and stop this. All right, John, you're going to go first. Where's this from?
Okay. This song plays during the coffee and tea break scenes from the Super Nintendo RPG Earthbound called You've Come Far, Ness.
Yes, you're correct. Earthbound is one of my all-time favorite soundtracks. I am mad at myself for not bringing that up earlier. I love Earthbound.
I need to get it on vinyl.
You should. Next one.
I love the vocal one.
Yep.
I love this one.
This one is great too.
I saw Becky first.
I'll cosplay if this character would look. I have ideas.
Right, it looped once, so let me go ahead and stop the track. All right, Becky, I saw you move your light stick first. So, want to take a guess?
It is Frog's theme from Chrono Trigger.
That is correct.
Yes.
Another fantastic soundtrack right there. All right, let's see who gets this one first. All right, here we go.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
I saw Andy.
As if
Definitely
you
feels
expected less.
tailored for him after what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Is it? It isn't. Okay. Good trombone line in this one.
Oh yeah.
The brass that follows through all the games for this guy are great during this era. Very much of him. Personally, I've always loved the saxophone that comes up in these, like we're hearing now.
All right. All right, I'm gonna stop since a minute has passed. So, Andy,
All right. So that song was from Rusty Bucket Bay from Banjo-Kazooie.
correct.
Nice.
Next up is this one. Let's see who knows this one. Oh, that's a remix.
I know this one.
You know it at least. I did not mean to do the remix, but yeah. But I'll play it.
The saxo.
I hope that everyone in chat's enjoying all this. All right. John, you wanted to guess first?
That arrangement is Captain Commando's theme from Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes.
Correct. Very
Nice.
Very jamming track. Here is the next one.
I had to like replay in my head whose theme song that was because I love the Clash of Superheroes soundtrack. I was thinking Jin for a moment, then I was thinking of Gambit, but then I was thinking, no, those two sound totally different.
Yeah.
And I remembered that in my primary Marvel 2 team, Captain Commando is my anchor.
Yep. Now here is the next track.
I know this.
All right. Andy knows this one.
Yeah.
All right. Let me find another one.
Melody gave it away.
Yep.
Yeah, I had to hear it twice and I recognized it. I just got this game today from a coworker who was looking to slim down just because he's moving.
Mm-hmm. Getting the next track real quick before I the next track we're gonna do will be the last track.
All right.
And then after that I got another question after that, and then we got community. So here, all right. So Andy, you wanted to guess first?
Yeah, that's from Yoshi's story.
Awesome, correct. The track is called "Love Is in the Air," and here is the last track.
Yep.
Yes.
I heard Korshal first.
Oh, you even picked a good one. I mean, well, this is my favorite soundtrack of this series, but I could have heard that start and be like, I'll fill in the blanks as soon as the last couple of seconds come in. But now, once you hear it enough, you're like, okay, it's this one.
Actually, there is one more, and no one's gonna guess this.
Okay, I see.
You say that.
We're willing to try. Trust me.
We are indeed willing to try.
Oh man, I got a good one for the last one. All right, let me go ahead and stop this track. Okay, so Korshal, I heard you first, so go right ahead.
That is Battling the Gym Leaders from Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. I love that soundtrack. Random aside, if no one's ever heard this, it exists on the internet. It's simultaneously funny and sometimes actually good. There are YouTube videos of RSE and Leaf Green Fire Rat soundtracks that are done in nothing but the RSE trumpet. It is an amazing musical listening experience, and I really recommend you do that.
That's an experience.
Sometime when you have it.
Korshal,
But yeah, I love those silly trumpets. They're burned into my brain. Favorite gen.
Korshal. I'm sorry to have to tell you, but you are absolutely right.
I was like, please don't gaslight me.
Very nice.
Gotta
Not
actually.
after my rant.
I have to put you in suspense just a little bit. Okay, for real, the last one.
The best for his time. So funny to me. The concept behind this.
Even if it's not the game that comes to my mind, it does remind me of a soundtrack of a game I really like. And if it's it, I will be happily surprised.
I'm just vibing, just so you know.
100% vibes. That's a track. Okay, John. Oh, let me stop that because it's playing another track. The one that you just heard right now, what was it, John?
A little 5-second bit that just played because I know that one too.
We're not counting that one though.
Yeah, okay. So that was the title screen track from the Nintendo Entertainment System depiction of Pictionary.
Yep, correct.
That's a
by none other than
that
the
song rips.
legendary Tim Fallon.
Yep.
That's a banger.
That is a banger.
Listen, Tim Fallon is a god among men in the chiptune world.
If you listen to both the Fallon brothers, Tim and his brother Jeff, they make amazing music in soundtracks you would never have ever guessed at all unless you've played them before at some point. And believe me, there's plenty more where that came from.
Silver Surfer.
Yeah, there's Silver Surfer. There's also a Super Nintendo game called Pluck.
Clock sound
and Spider-Man,
great.
Spider-Man and the X-Men and Arcade's Revenge specifically for the Super Nintendo. So now that we got that out of the way, so John, how much do you love video game music?
Oh my gosh. What a question. Video game music basically runs my life. I live and breathe it. It's everywhere, running my mind 24/7. Whether I'm waking up to it in my morning alarm for my 5 a.m. work commute, to having a playlist on the side for the next 8 or 9 hours of the day, just as I'm moving from spot to spot during my day job. I have that one little station. My computer is there, the speakers are on, and I mean, people just come by and they always ask me, "What are you listening to?" And then I always say something like the Rogue Encampment theme from Diablo 2, or the Chunan Night Hub World theme from Sonic Unleashed. From commutes to and from, I have a little radio, a wireless radio on the side here that I Bluetooth connect to every now and then, and I'll have more like idle jams playing on the side. I've made playlists upon playlists for categorizations of video game music, from workouts to things I sleep to things that'll help me focus better when I'm doing things like writing or putting documentations together, or even for something as simple as my high score runs whenever I'm not doing them on live streams. It's something that I can never stop thinking about, especially as somebody who's gone towards the rankings of making some of his own 8-bit style bits. I'll have to get back to those at some point, because shout outs to the Fallen Brothers for being like big inspirations behind that. But long story short, video game music is I live and breathe it. I don't want it any other way.
Excellent. 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 Andy.
All right. The question was, how much do I love video game music?
Correct.
As the great speaker Lindsay Lohan said in the movie Mean Girls, the limit does not exist. I love video game music. Obviously, I collect the vinyls. I have the Nintendo music. Similar to John, I listen to the Nintendo music back and forth in my car, and I actually bonded with my boss of my new job because I was listening to Super Mario Galaxy music, and it's apparently his favorite game of all time. So, and then obviously my obsession with Banjo-Kazooie, and I got to meet Grant Kirkhope, and that was like top memory for me. And yeah, I also, a fun story of when I was in high school, I found we had a version of the Pokemon theme for Pep Band, and I tried to get the band director to let us play it. She didn't, but I tried. But I love video game music, everything that has to go with it. It had for me, and I hope to continue doing that. That's why I make a blog for it every Monday.
Awesome. Korshal.
So it's pretty easy answers when you're in a room of game music enthusiasts to say that, like, a lot. Bluntly put, love it a lot. I mean, it's always been so, like, there's an extra layer when you think about it. It's not just like how much you in particular in a bubble can like this, because like when you pretty much live and breathe this enough, everyone around you starts knowing and or realizing to sometimes horror just how deep you are with this stuff. Like at my place of work, I'm just known as like the game soundtrack guy. So they'll just be like, yeah, if we want to put on like a thing over the speakers in the store. And they're just like, well, if Korshal was setting up the bat, it's going to be something on a Nintendo platform, because that's all he listens to. And if we put on any other thing, any other, like literally any music artist in the industry, he'll have no idea, unless you're talking like Bonnie Tyler. Because and that's like it. But clearly, I'm like, inspired me to start pursuing further passions. The more I embraced it, and not just from game music, period. Like game music has made me really much appreciate the creativity and talent behind the individuals. Like it really wasn't until the last like 7 to 8 years that I began to appreciate composers in particular.
Yeah.
And like I always had this curiosity of the building blocks behind making music. And that when I began making my own remixes in Reaper in particular, for people, like if I haven't said it enough, I use Reaper as my choice of digital audio workstation And being able to do that and like study these songs when you do covers, since I'm self-taught. I was like, I'm gonna pick this up and just like figure it out as I go, basically. And I still am. I still have plenty to learn. But there's such a joy when I sit down and like have a source that I'm going to like work on for like anything. Especially when I've worked on certain composers, like when I've done a remix and like heavy modification of Susie's main theme versus Susie from Deltarune Chapter 1. And I went integrating a whole bunch of other motifs from the series into it because it felt like a very Toby Fox thing to do. Because that's like what the series already does. But you break it down, and I typically don't just grab other people's like MIDIs of songs they have. I prefer to transcribe it myself because I like being able to like understand what was going on and not just stare at a note map placed in front of me. Yeah. So when you just get to slow it down, and like some of the songs I've covered, when you listen to like what bass lines do, you go like, holy cow. Like right now what I'm working on, and I don't just want to like say it because it's somewhat spoilery of recent release. You like break it down, you're like, this is insane. Like, how are people doing this? And you know, like so much happens in the course of video game composition and music that you take for granted when you just listen to it at its intended presentation, because it blends in so well that it's just part of this greater feeling and emotion that the song's trying to like commit to you. So when I, as a guy who I can't believe I made like 61 published remixes by this point across my years of doing it, I'm quite proud of myself for that. But like, when I get to look at those building blocks nowadays, I'm like, I can't believe how much talent so many people have to cover so many things. That's like my biggest takeaway of how much I love game music now, is I realize from my own level of skill that I've been trying to build up over time, right? As I just like experiment, learn, get to read when I have time between job and like all my other hobbies I like to do. Because you go like, people know how to not just make an amazing lead melody or like get their bridge, get the halftime. Like they know how to do competent like strings, background pads. The bass lines are so important with the drum line to get in a certain energy of a song. There's so many things I listen to and I get amazed every time I try to cover myself just to see what goes behind that. And it inspires me so much to want to be able to try to do eventually someday, and this is very far down the line, being able to competently make my own original compositions would be a great end goal. Mm-hmm. And this requires like hitting the books. And like, I do have an online course that was gifted to me from my older brother, who's like, man, yeah, you're all about music. Here's some music fundamentals for you to take your own time on an online course. I'm like, thank you. And I've been able to dabble in that just a little bit as I go. And like, so much, like, this is true for any art form, but being able to go like, I get it now, even just this little bit of all this effort where you go like, this is a 1.5-minute loop in the song, but by golly, there's so many hours of work and like thought and trial and error that gets put into it that I appreciate so much. And I love being able to like break down now. As my last little note, I love game music so much, and being able to like interact with it even in a fandom form of doing remixes, that when I'm constantly doing my own like stuff, I just get caught listening to like something I either transcribed successfully or like found a spin on that I really jive with as a direction of my own remix. And like probably a third of my own remix workshopping is just listening to myself over and over, because I just get bewildered. You get caught listening and being like, not only was I able to come remotely close to being able to do a song I really like justice, and like I'm happy and impressed with myself for that, but the fact that someone made a song so inspiring to me that I wanted to do my best attempt to give it a shot myself, an appreciation to that person being like, thank you for doing this, and inspiring me to pick up the keyboard to try to make my own spin on it. Because like, that sticks with you for like ever, basically. Like literally, we were just naming soundtracks that have stuck with us from childhood onwards, 20-year-old soundtracks plus that we just don't forget because it makes its mark on you forever when you get to interact with this. And that's a amazing, amazing feeling that I hope someday I can maybe do myself. And like I could keep rambling. My last thought, I would say, that really made me realize how powerful this music is. And like, I legitimately don't want to get choked up about this because this was like a really powerful emotion for me when it happened. So, all right, breathe, buddy.
You got this.
A legitimate shock to me as a creator of music was last fall when I was asked to be part of a fan collab album for Mega Man X because it was like a big milestone year for it. And the person who reached out to me was just like, yeah, I wanted to reach out to you specifically because this remix here that you did was one of the things that made me pick up doing remixes myself. And I was like, wow. Like, me, little guy me, just like, and this person had already surpassed me in subscribers, and that's not the metric I care about. Like, I don't care about that. That's not the point. But like to know that someone can find their stride and be able to like hit more equally talented things. And I had a small part to play in that. And you're like, that's fantastical. So I got even just like a tiny version of what game composers do, the people and like me, the one to create to somebody else. And like, it's incredible. Like, man, I'm going to breathe for a second before I like break down. But yeah, I love it a lot.
And I'm really happy for that because that was just amazing. Wow. Like I remember that you were part of that collab, but to be approached like that, incredible.
Yeah. That's life-changing stuff when you get heard that. Like I was never in the doubts of like I knew this was a hobby I wanted to do because of how happy it made me myself. But the know that joy for myself successfully reached and even further inspired other people. You're like, I'm so glad to be part of this cycle.
Yep. What about you, Becky?
Well, I mean, I love music in general. I like how it makes me feel. I like how there's certain soundtracks and types of music that invoke certain emotions in me. I like the creepy stuff. I like ominous stuff. Just the way that it gives me goosebumps. I like the stuff that'll pump me up and get me focused. I really love to listen to video game music when I'm creating because it helps me get into a mindset of creation. I like to listen to specific tracks when I'm at work because they're quiet, they're non-obtrusive, and it's something relaxing that I can have on in the background. There's some tracks that I like to listen to when I'm driving to and from places, my little commuting soundtrack. And I like collecting music too. I mean, I started getting into vinyl about a year and a half ago, and it's just amazing what's become available. And I remember like being a little girl and playing records on my mom and dad's player, and now I'm doing it for myself with records that I bought for myself and tracking down those rare CDs can only get in Japan. Like the Zero Escape ones, I spent years looking for them. I finally managed to grab one off of Mandarake, and it was like one of those, oh my gosh, I need to have it moments. And I mean, I love music in general. I think probably one thing that I should mention is that I walked down the aisle to anime music by somebody who also composed for video games. It was Yuki Kajiura, who was a composer for Xenosaga and Dot Hack.
Ah, nice. Awesome. So, I don't know how I'm going to follow any of that. Well, I love video game music. Always have, always will. There's a lot of great soundtracks that put me in amazing moods. Some of them put me in like moods that make me really sad, get me emotional in so many ways. But at the end of it all, it means a lot to me. I just love how it all sounds at the end. Like, just really good music. There's a lot of music that just gets overlooked by people, but there's a lot of music that everyone could just love. Even if they're not the biggest fan of a certain genre, just listening to the music, it definitely gets them pumped. It definitely gets them excited. Definitely gets them on their toes in any way possible. When people say music makes the world go round, video game music is included. I love it so much. Not sure what else to say that hasn't already been said. It's just amazing. So, the first question is from Steven Swan, aka Nintendo with the one as the I. Who is your favorite composer? Yoko Shimomura is definitely up there for me. She made music for Street Fighter 2. She made music for Live Alive, Super Mario RPG, the Mario and Luigi series, Kingdom Hearts, and so much more. Another one that I would probably say is a favorite of mine. I like Koji Kondo, who made the Mario music, Zelda. I like Jun Sonoe when he's not like, because he does a lot of Sonic music. I like him when he's not like doing like Genesis style music. I prefer when he does rock music. T. Lopes.
Full agree.
I love T. Lopes. Jake Kaufman, aka Vert, who used to be in Way Forward, now he's with Yacht Club. Grand Curve Hope is another one. And if I had to think of another composer I absolutely respect, like it's one of my favorites. He used to compose music back for Nintendo before he left Nintendo back in the late 90s. Hirokazu Tanaka, who made music for Hip Tanaka. He made music for Metroid on the NES. He made music for Kid Icarus. He also he worked on pretty much a lot of music for Nintendo for NES when Koji Kondo was not around. He would be the one to work on it. Also did music for Game Boy, like Super Mario Land. He's done the Mother series, just the first two. He has not. He didn't do Mother 3, just the first two. So those are my composers that I love. John?
Well, when I think of favorite composers that I've listened to over the years, I have three. One is Yasunori Mitsuda, who is
Yep.
widely known for Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross. He was a guest composer for Sea of Stars, 2023's Indie Game of the Year winner. One of my favorite projects that he did is a mini album called Sailing to the World, which is actually a portion of a PC RPG called The Seventh Seal, Resurrection of the Dark Lord. Really environmental stuff over there. Really good stuff. Really nice, like Oriental style Japanese vibe going on with all that music. It's fantastic. Another one of mine is Stuart Copeland, who a lot of other people know as the drummer for the 80s band The Police. He composed the music for the entire Spyro the Dragon PlayStation trilogy. And from the original game to the end of Year of the Dragon, every single piece of environmentalism in that audio just hits too clean. It's so good. A third and final really, really important one to me is Nobuyuki Onogi. He's done a lot of music for various Namco arcade games, Pole Position, Mappy, Galaga. He has a really, really wide palette to him. Libble Rabble is another really good one that he did. I had seen he was like my biggest inspiration for wanting to compose music on my own, and I've even done original music soundtracks or sound collections inspired by games like Galaga and similar traits. Um, After hearing he passed away in when was it? 2019. I had put together a little tribute medley for the music from Mappy because that was one of my favorite arcade soundtracks of all time at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, seeing the way I put that together, man, I truly couldn't have paid a much better tribute in any other way.
Awesome. What about you, Andy? Who's your favorite composers?
Well, definitely top number one has been Grant Kirkhope since I was however long Banjo-Kazooie's been out.
Mm-hmm.
But also, as I mentioned earlier, David Wise, and Robin Beanland, anything like Viva Pinata, Grabbed by the Ghoulies. Then we also have Koji Kondo, as you mentioned, the anything in the Mario, Zelda, Richard Jacques,
Yep.
as well, who did the Sonic R.
Can You Feel the Sunshine?
Fan. Can You Feel the Sunshine? I'm also and basically any of the Sonic composer groups. That's another one, and not to mention your colleague again, but Matt Toronto does an amazing job with his music. If you've listened to his YouTube stuff, just go do it.
He's really good.
He's really good.
Absolutely. Korshal?
So I mentioned it a little bit, like in the terms of like my top ones, I'd consider like there's clearly so many people we like. But I would say the ones I'm going to categorize it as the ones that have influenced how I make music will get my list today, even though there are a bunch of others I could say I could listen to it repeatedly. Starting with, once again, Dominic Nidmark, the guy where I heard his soundtrack and just put my foot down and said, I'm buying a keyboard and I'm going to learn how to make music. Wasn't that guy? Well, if I could meet Nidmark someday, I would like be in heaven. But like, I know he's EU based, so the chances are low, but a guy can cross his fingers, right? But on the influential list, man, I wish I could sound more like these people. T. Lopes was mentioned, along with Jake Kaufman. Very true. I I have a slight love-hate relationship, depending on the exact title, with Motoi Sakuraba. He is a guy who has really high highs and really low lows, in my opinion, with the music that I've heard and had to like go to. Another one, pretty sure I've only ever played one particular game he's touched, but it was so good, I specifically went looking up more of his, which is Yusuke Yasoi, if I'm saying it correctly. We had the Eschados mentioned before. That's one of his soundtracks. When I was starting to hear that, there's another one that really made me go, because it became a meme song. Make sure I can pronounce this right, or at least make a good attempt. Mamoru-kun is Cursed is another one that Yasoi did. And Yokai Disco is the name of the track, which became very associated with animated egg dog videos for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I first heard of, like, I realized who this was. I realized he had a hand in doing the soundtrack for Mega Man. Darn it, why am I suddenly forgetting it? I feel so bad. It was just on the tip of my tongue because I played this game a lot. The GameCube platformer Mega Man Battle Network game.
Network Transmission.
Thank you. I knew it was Network something, and I was hating myself. It just slipped from my hands. He contributed towards that. And I was like, oh, all right. I have like played something of this guy's before because he was part of the soundtrack for that. I think one of 3 or 4 composers. And I went listening to more of his stuff. It's like, this stuff is amazing because it's all like shmup, high energy things. And then one other indie shout out for the composer under the name of Plus, like the character, Plus Tech. Really, really good. Done the X Zodiac soundtrack that I highlighted before as one of the songs I've done. And then done a bunch of other stuff. Also very like FM synthesizer, like Yamaha based. Did the soundtrack for the very funny game Scout and Boomerang is another one that I really like. Real great, like if you like that Yamaha Genesis-esque twang, like FM synthesizer approach, I would also say Tech would be up there. I'm like, all these people have influenced me, I like them a lot. And then a bunch of others, but I'll put them first.
Yep. Becky.
Well, a lot of people have already been said. We mentioned Shinji Hosoe earlier tonight, and I also am a really big fan of Yasunori Nishiki. He composed for Octopath Traveler. Kohei Tanaka, who is a member of the composition team for Sakura Taisen, which is something that I fairly recently discovered. And he actually went on to become a major composer for the One Piece anime. Shoji Meguro from Atlas for a lot of his Persona and his work on Catherine as well.
Catherine.
Also, for indies, Garode, who is the composer for the soundtrack of Valhalla.
Oh, that's a great
Toby
game.
Fox. Yeah. Toby Fox. Love what he's been doing.
Of course.
And then also Lena Rain and her soundtrack for Celeste is a banger.
I also want to give a shout out to the iconic composer for the games Doom and Wolfenstein 3D, as well as Duke Nukem 3D, Bobby Prince. And the reason that I'm giving him a shout out is because a couple of days ago, he recently passed away at age 81. He made some iconic music from back in the day, like the original Doom, Wolfenstein 3D. I love the original Doom so much. It's one of my all-time favorite games. And the soundtrack is a huge banger from top to bottom. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to him. May he rest in peace, and my condolences to his family and friends.
So really, I feel silly for getting Toby Fox, but also, have you guys listened to the Scott Pilgrim game soundtracks from Anamanaguchi?
Anamanaguchi, yes! I love Anamanaguchi.
So good. I forgot, and you're saying that, I was like, oh yeah, those were a thing.
Yep. So Shad asks, who is your least favorite composer? Before I answer mine, I want to know, do you guys have a least favorite composer? I'll go with John first. If you could think of one. Because I have an answer. And it's a big one. I'm actually going to go last, by the way.
For all the good music I picked up on over the years, I can't think of one that I'll say is my least favorite composer. But if there is one, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, I'm saying this in more of a I want to hear more of their work way. Junko Ozawa, she is the composer for the Babylonian Castle Saga Namco arcade games, The Tower of Druaga, The Return of Ishtar, The Quest of Key. I haven't heard very much of her work past those games, and it's something I would really love to do my research on. Again, not saying least favorite as in I don't like them, saying least favorite as in I don't know very much about them, but I would love to learn more.
All right, that's fair. What about you, Andy?
Yes. So I had to look it up because I didn't know who they were. But I had to look up who composed the soundtrack for Yoshi's New Island on the 3DS. It's Masayoshi Ishii.
Oh. Wow.
So there's my answer.
All right. Korshal.
So you actually helped me bring in the point I was gonna talk about. The thing I think for most people is that good music sticks with you for a long time and you want to learn more about it. Bad music, with some exceptions, typically are forgettable things you hear that you're like, all right, this didn't really do anything for me. It didn't stick around. So I can't immediately, like I said, there's some exceptions. The Yoshi's New Island was a great example of that. But it's I don't have one particular that I'd want to be like, oh, I never want to hear anything from them again. But I also kind of said this in the previous answer. I do have a composer where I love and hate what they do sometimes. I'm gonna put it back this is a very asterisk when I say least favorite out of like the ones I listen to all the time.
Yeah.
But it would be Sakuraba only because this man going from like the systems, and it stinks because I've heard certain more recent games where he's like on top of his game and exactly what I want it to be. There are sometimes this guy sits down with nothing but a giant VST package of the most generic orchestra, like symphonic suite you could want, and he blasts nothing but brass that all blends together. It's very sweeping, like brass hums that will just drown out everything else. So like he's the longtime composer of the Tales of games for the primary entries, right? And we think of like Tales of Symphonia, Abyss, Vesperia. They all have a very good like mix of like high-end synth leads along with like some typically like traditional instrument VSTs and stuff like that drawn in, depending on like the era of time, the technology available. You get to like Arise, Tales of Arise, and I cannot tell you for the life of me any of the tunes from like the overworlds. I can think of prior Tales games and be like, oh yeah, certain overworld map songs stick around to me. But then you get to like sometimes it just feels like Sakuraba is phoning it in and just like, oh sure, yeah, let's just toss in 1,000 brass here and do a big, supposedly grandiose like sweep. And it's like, now I don't even remember any of it. Nothing of it's going to stick. Like, man, my guy, you've inspired me to make music. I love so much of Symphonia, but you're just going to like look at me and give me this and be like, yeah, this is going to be just as memorable. And I'm like, I know you can do better. So like, I say it with tough love and nothing but earnest respect for what Sakuraba can do and be like, you can do so much better than some of the songs I've heard from you, my guy. So, like, you need something to be inspired. Because when you're back at it, you're at the top of your game. But when you're just like, oh, yeah, Namco's reaching out to me again because I'm the Tales of composer. Here's something, I guess. And you're just like, you have the sauce, please. Please give it to me. So that's my technical kind of answer of my least favorite of the favorites, said with respect and tough love.
Yep. And as Lanalai says in chat, the 5-star chef microwaving a hot pocket for you.
Yes. So accurate.
All right, Becky, what about you? Do you have a least favorite?
Whatever poor sap was tasked with making the music for Urban Yeti.
Oof. Okay, I got one. It's going to open up a can of worms. And it's because while he makes some amazing music, he has since phoned it in later years, but it turns out he's actually a horrible human being. And the reason I'm bringing him up is because of the fact that I actually like this video game series, but the music in the later games just feels phoned in. It's like, why would you not put effort into your music? But then it turns out he's a horrible human being all around, and it's just a deep story about how much of a bigot he actually is just goes deep. And the composer I'm talking about is the late Koichi Sugiyama, who is known for being the composer for the Dragon Quest series. And the reason that I absolutely despise this human being is because he has paid so much money of his personal fortune to make sure that anyone who references anything about the Japanese war crimes during World War II, he's a denier. He wants people to not believe any of that. And also, he's a huge homophobe and transphobe. So, the fact that he laughs in the faces of those who, unfortunately, like, have to, how can I say it? Unfortunately, like, those who are no longer with us, he laughs in their faces. He's a horrible human being. And as a result, it was really hard for me as a person to really play any of the Dragon Quest games for a while because of that. However, he did pass away in 2021. And that's the thing. It just feels, you feel conflicted about stuff like this. But on one hand, you love the video game series, but on the other hand, I can't get behind anything that this composer has done outside the game. So that's my least favorite. That's all I'll say about him. Next question is a combined one from Sown and Dragonflame, because they practically answered the same. They asked the same question. Granted, in Dragon's case, there's a little bit more detail. So I'll read it off of what Dragon said. How often do you listen to game music? Actually, to listen to it, not just having it on the background while you do other things. Granted, Sown worded it saying how and when do you listen to music. It's pretty much the same question, but to answer it is simple. It just depends on my mood. If I want to be productive, if I just go out, I just have something. It's gotten to a point where I kind of condition myself to not really walk in silence unless I absolutely have to. So pretty much whenever my mood needs to, whenever I just need to listen to music for my mood. That's it. John.
Well, as I did mention in the question we were asked regarding how much we love video game music, one thing that I do from time to time is I go through some of the soundtracks I have and I pick and choose select tracks for certain themes of my day, be it for things like exercise or going out for a walk, or for when I need to focus working on a task, or when I want something light on in my sleep. I take my time to listen to as much of the music as I can to really get a grasp for what it is I'm trying to feel as I'm listening to it. And that determines the theme it goes in. We've got some for wanting to feel a little more emotional when we are feeling emotional. We want some for music that'll really get us excited for life's next adventure. The variety is there and the lists will go on. It's up to you to determine how exactly you want to go about your selections.
Mm-hmm. All right. Andy?
Shout out to the Nintendo Music app. I use it probably more than any of my other music things combined. Especially now, I use it to drive and I use it to work. And like when they announced the Star Fox release on there, the limited release before the game came out, I sat here and I listened to all those songs just to hear how different they were or how similar they were, because I was super hyped for the game.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Mario Kart World was announced, here's the soundtrack. The amount of times that I have listened to the Mario Kart World Rainbow Road track, oh, so good.
Yes.
But then the Free Roam soundtrack, then it's like right now they have like all of the NES, some of the N64, both Galaxy games, and I just put that on a mix, and that's just like music to my ears, literally.
And they're gonna add more tomorrow.
And they're gonna add more tomorrow, and I'm excited. And that on top of, like, as I said, I have like the rare vinyl, and I'll listen to that every once in a while. I'll just pull out a random one and just listen to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Korshal?
All right, so a couple of different ways in terms of like how to what extent. So like if we're asking if I actually like how in depth you listen to stuff, it pretty much, because of what I do and what I like to do with composing as a hobby, I'm pretty much always analyzing and like trying to do a deep listen if I can. I wouldn't just call it like, oh, background white noise. Like when it's put on at my work on like the speakers, that's when it's going to be more like, oh, it's here to be there. And like, it's a generally nice thing I'll get to hear like occasionally when work's not as hectic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But preferably I get to listen to it like headphones in. And I usually try to do that a lot. When I drive to work, it is nothing but game music. I never listen to radio. I know I was saying I just don't listen to like artist published music. I keep a thumb drive plugged into the USB port in my vehicle that has, at this point, somewhere around 500 to 600 different songs I put on, including my own, because I like to listen to my own stuff. But regardless, that's still like 500-ish songs from like, sometimes it'll be a group from a particular game soundtrack. or it might just be one-ofs of like my favorite hits from different things I've heard, either that I played or that like I've heard come up when other people have played stuff, or it's been used in like a video essay and it really catches my ears. I make notes of that. I get it all the time. And then of course, like if I get to at work and I get to be headphones in doing a certain task, I am fully invested in my music as I work. Thankfully, I don't do a terrible job while I'm definitely more enjoying my music than I am doing my job.
Yeah.
But that's thankfully what a decade of experience has given me, to be able to like automate my tasks. And I definitely go, and this one's a little bit obvious with the composing, I get to go like ears in, listening to the same great song for like a total of 6 to 7 hours when I get to make a remix across multiple nights. And like, that's great. Like, I would say if we had to put a general estimate of daily time spent listening to game music, I probably get a good 2 to 3 hours total daily. It'll be more depending if I really just get to sit down and do something for a while. But like I just get to like work, go home, like eat, sleep, do like chores kind of stuff kind of day. That is like firmly 2 to 3 hours. I have fully enjoyed the music I've heard.
All right. Becky?
I mean, like a lot of everybody else has gone over this. Like, we have our own personal playlists that we put on in our car, our own personal playlists that we put on at work.
Yep.
Sometimes, like, I take some me time. I just grab myself a face mask or one of those heated eye masks and just lie back and listen to some relaxing music tracks and take a little nap while I do some beautifying. And yeah, I mean, if I put on something that's gonna relax me, then it's gonna be some video game music.
All right. Awesome. Great answers. Next one is from Maple, from Will and Maple. Are there any OSTs you love from games you haven't played yet? A couple for me. But the biggest one for me, because like I've actually listened to the soundtrack. I like, the funny thing is I've actually listened to some Final Fantasy soundtracks before I've actually beaten them, but there was one in particular that I've actually listened to that I still have yet to even beat, and that's from the first Final Fantasy on the NES, which has also been remade multiple times. I still need to go ahead and beat that game, but that's my answer. John?
So one of the biggest ones I can think of right now is Castlevania Lament of Innocence.
Ooh.
I have a lot of love for the music in Castlevania. It's one of my all-time favorite series musically. Michiru Yamane, she does amazing work across the board in any project she will ever be featured in. I've listened to a wide variety of Castlevania soundtracks. I've played a good amount of the games. As I did mention earlier, I think Order of Ecclesia tops everything, but there are plenty that I have yet to experience or haven't fully sat through. Circle of the Moon, Aria of Sorrow, Curse of Darkness, Legacy of Darkness, Lament of Innocence. They're all great games. However, there are many in said series that I have not played. And of all of those 5, the one I want to tackle the most is Lament of Innocence, solely because of how good the music is. I'll also say something similarly in regards to Chrono Cross. I did mention Yasunori Mitsuda earlier.
Yeah.
What some amazing work he's done. And oh my goodness, there's so much beauty in the Chrono Cross soundtrack. I'm surprised for how long I've listened to that soundtrack. I have not yet played the game, despite there being the Radical Dreamers re-release.
Yeah.
I'll have yet to experiment with that.
Someday. But did you know that Yasunori Mitsuda also composed the soundtrack to the first Mario Party game? That was him. Like,
Yeah, great soundtrack.
if you hear
It is so good.
if you hear Mario's Rainbow Castle theme, it sounds like it came directly from Chrono Trigger. It sounds like the like the festival in Chrono Trigger. It sounds a lot like that.
One of my favorite tracks from the original Mario Party is the mini game description theme. It's so good
Yes.
for how short it is.
Fun fact, he originally wanted to make it more of a jazz soundtrack, but what Nintendo wanted was more of a big band soundtrack, like like those big bands that will go to like all those like sports games or like anything that's ran, like parades and whatnot. That's what they were going for. So they had him redo a lot of the soundtrack just to fit what Nintendo wanted. It's the only one he's done, but it was amazing. Andy, what about you? Are there any soundtracks that you love from games you haven't played yet?
So yes, Final Fantasy VII is one that I've heard lots of good things of, and I'd like to, fight Sephiroth eventually. Kingdom Hearts is another one. And then, funny enough, Parappa the Rapper.
Ooh, Parappa the Rapper, nice.
I played the first one, like the demo of like the Chop Master Onion, and all of the rest of them. I've heard the songs, but I've never actually played the levels.
I've never actually played the whole game. I've only played like a demo, but someday I am going to fix that. I will.
Same.
Korshal.
So for me, I don't know how well I do with them because this is a genre I really have partaken in. It'll probably be a learning curve. Deltarune and Undertale can only get me so far. I've talked about Yusuke Nisoi and how he's composed a bunch of shmup style like bullet hell scenarios.
Yeah.
And like I've never played any of these. We're talking about Mamoru is Curse, haven't played. Eschados, haven't played. Jinga Force, haven't played. And its companion game, Natsuki Chronicles, haven't played any of them. But man, do I know all four of those soundtracks extraordinarily well. Because they are really energetic, fun rides to listen to from like start to end. So those are like, I put those on a ton. So if I had to say like, oh yeah, these are the games I haven't played, I really should just for the curiosity factor. Even if I get like utterly destroyed with the bullet patterns, it is those four are like my dead to rights. I can't believe I haven't at least given this a shot considering how well I know the music games because they're great.
Yeah. Becky?
Now I would have to say Final Fantasy 14. Because I've heard a lot of different tracks from it. I've heard that there's a lot of really, really good songs that have come out since the most recent expansions were made, and I really like what I've been hearing.
Awesome. Next one is from Kyle Gamer. Knowing that some games often get remixed, do you prefer the original OST or the remake OST? My answer is it really depends on the game and how well both of the OSTs were made and composed. So it's really hard for me to determine like which one I would like better. It just depends on the game. So that's my answer. John?
Well, again, piggybacking off of Shellshock there, it'll depend on A, the original game, and B, how well the remade soundtrack ties in with what the remake is going for. In the case of, I'll use the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters as a good example. I used the remixed soundtracks for 1 through 3, but I use the original soundtracks from 4 through 6 because that's how I remember Final Fantasy music. In the case of Spyro Reignited Trilogy, yeah, I like the idea of dynamic music for like using the headbutt charge or standing still, looking around at your environment, and all of that is cool. But the music doesn't really give off that charm that the original soundtracks once did. So in that case, I would always swap to original. But at the same time, there are dependencies. But my bigger preference would be the original soundtrack.
Fair. 100% fair. Andy?
I actually had it written down earlier that it, as I said, depends on the remake. So like you get the Star Fox, for example, just recently came out, modern example. The new stuff is orchestrated. It's very like grand, where it's kind of a digitized version in the Nintendo 64. It does its spot. It has some good. I would probably go for the remake if we're listening to like Super Mario Brothers compared to the Super Mario All-Stars version of Super Mario All-Stars. Do you prefer the 16-bit to the 18-bit? Personally, I prefer the 8-bit.
Yep.
If you're doing like so, it really depends on the game, how it's made, and I guess there's a little bit of nostalgia in there. Although, I guess even like going back to Star Fox 1, the remake soundtrack is how I remember it as a kid as the original. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that.
Mhm.
Portia.
So I'm also in the camp of like it can vary. I can definitely think of some like the go on Star Fox 64 again. It was very interesting playing through the Switch 2 remake that's coming out. That was definitely some of my first impressions that my ears were glued to the music the best I could, while also trying to take in the dialogue for the first time. Because I was very curious how it would stack up. And this one's like an even intriguing like middle case, because that 64 soundtrack has been done entirely, or at least mostly, a total of 4 times. When you think about that, where there's Star Fox 64, there's Assault, which is basically 64 soundtrack with a couple of new things in it, and it has my favorite Star Wolf theme. There's 64 3D, which before Switch 2 Star Fox came out, I vastly preferred the like fleshing out that 3D did, because they were actually given like the capability to like redo how the soundtrack sounded, and some things legitimately improved, like Macbeth. But now you're like, all right, now here's like the newest one with it too, and you're like, do I pick the middle one? That because I like 3D? Do I like go for the new orchestra stuff? But with that one, that silly case aside of Star Fox repeating itself ad nauseum, I always love to listen to the new soundtrack first, at least once. Like when I played through Thousand Year Door and SMRPG's Switch remakes, I was always making sure to hear the new stuff at least once on the loop through. But I am definitely a nostalgia fiend for some of these games, and if they were striking right at my heart of like childhood spent, I always drift back to the original. Like I was able to hear SMRPG's new versions, and it's really well done. And I have the new soundtrack CD release that has both the classic and the remake soundtracks on the CDs. And it was really nice that came with a commentary booklet. With English, by the way. That was a really good release of theirs. But I find myself usually drifting back to the original soundtrack if it has nostalgic value. If it's like a remake of a game I really hadn't experienced much, then I'd probably take the new version, just because it's going to be like the most likely version of the game I hear first, and I'd really have to spend extensive time like hearing both and choosing to compare them to really have that. But when the nostalgia is in play, I'm a fiend for the old school soundtrack. Like the SNES sound font, Super Mario RPG, with the way it does like its brass, is very like in my heart forever. I love that thing.
Becky?
Like everybody mentioned, it all depends on the production process. I mean, there's some 8-bit tunes that sound really great when they're played and expanded by a full orchestra, and some of them that did okay, but you still need to remember to balance things out. One game that I can think of that is a really good example of the remake surpassing the original is Live Alive.
Yes, I agree.
Played the original, but the remake for Live Alive, they got the original composer back, and she did some remixes of some of her more iconic tracks, and they sound amazing.
Yep, that's Yoko Shimomura. She is amazing.
Yep.
It's better than like Sonic 3, where the new Superstars versions are totally different because they couldn't get Michael Jackson
Yeah.
approval.
Like, for example, if I had to think of a soundtrack that is better, like, with the original, I'm honestly gonna have to say, like, for example, like, so when I think about, like, Sega Genesis having the 3 remakes of the first 3 Mega Man games as part of Mega Man The Wily Wars, I think that the NES versions of the soundtracks are better than the Genesis versions. But then I have something like, for example, when I think about Pokemon Red and Blue versus Fire Red and Leaf Green versus Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, because the soundtracks are practically the same, though Fire and Leaf Green has more stuff. I personally prefer, I actually kind of prefer the original over Fire and Leaf Green, but I do like the orchestral Let's Go. I do prefer that over the original. So, I'm gonna go with the next question from Epic Man. Have you ever tried listening to any video game soundtrack on your phone device while playing another game? Yes. If I'm playing a game that has no soundtrack, I just like put whatever I want and listen. That's it. John?
A good example of this is, I, for one, think R4 Ridge Racer Type 4 is the best racing game soundtrack of all time. And if I have that game soundtrack specifically playing over any other racing game I'm playing, it's pure perfection.
All right. Andy?
I haven't done it in a while because I like to listen to whatever that game soundtrack is. But back in the original Xbox days, I think it was, or the Xbox 360, I can't remember. They had the option in some games where you could rip your CDs onto the hard drive and then play the songs on that hard drive.
Yeah.
And I would let's play Madden NFL 2001 with Banjo-Kazooie music.
Yes.
Or actually even going further back, we used to play, so my dad was really big into Civilization. And I had mentioned at the very beginning of the podcast how sometimes I would listen to like the King's Quest, Girl in the Tower on there. We had a no CD hack for my Civ 2, so you could play Civ 2 on the PC with the King's Quest CD in. Civilization 2 plays CD audio. So it would pull whatever CD was playing. There was one day, it started playing Girl in the Tower while I was playing Civilization. Very different. And I'm like, what is this from? Because I hadn't played King's Quest at that point. And then we're like, oh, that's what that is. So yes, I've done it a lot. Not recently though.
Yeah, it's like in times where I used to play Fortnite. Like, I don't really play Fortnite as much these days, but when I did, I would just play whatever music, and just have at it. Like listening to music from like playing like Mega Man or Sonic or Street Fighter and all that. Korshal, what about you?
I do pretty regularly, just because once a week I play with my siblings on like a particular set of like rotational games that we like to do. There's a lot of Borderlands style stuff and Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
And this has been a thing we've had going on for these type of games for like a couple years now. So you only can really want to hear the same thing for so long, especially when you start getting to like content grind scenario when it's your social hangout. So like a year and some in, especially with Helldivers, you're like, all right, going to the options menu, music off, and then you just open up a playlist and to start listening to other games. Like sometimes, ironically, I have enjoyed a good round of Helldivers 2 while listening to Mario Kart 64. When you hear like the like Moo Moo Farm style music kick in as your silly like shenanigans music, you get to have some fun times with that where you're intentionally choosing a bit of a genre clash just because you're already kind of in a goofy game anyways with some stuff like that, and you're just ready to like have it a little on in the background as you're catching up with siblings and seeing what's going on for the week. So yeah, I do pretty often, at least specifically for those games. Anywhere else, I tend just to listen to the actual soundtrack because I haven't yet done stuff like speed runs or anything that might just be like, oh yeah, now it's time to just like have something else on if it's not a game that requires intensive sound cues or anything like that.
All right. Becky?
I don't do it actually.
All right.
I like to be able to listen to the games to get the full immersive experience.
100% fair. So next up is from Noble Boy. What are the best and worst OSTs that you've heard in every generation? Examples are welcome. I'll make it a quick one. Best, NES, well, Super Mario Bros. 3 is up there, Mega Man 2, worse, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, let's see, every generation, damn, like, that's gonna be tough. I'm just gonna have a short answer. I'll just do one more. For a more recent one, I would probably say, like, in terms of best, on, like, I'll say right now, like, shout outs to Donkey Kong Bonanza's soundtrack for being amazing. Worst, it's really hard. I don't really have a worst for this generation at the moment. I guess, actually, no. No, I don't have an answer for worst. John.
I can't say much I have an answer for this one. Not for the confusing concept, but it's just there's so many that I have and haven't listened to all at the same time. So I can't see myself having a very straightforward answer for this question.
All right. Andy?
I was kind of mirroring. I could probably think of like NES. I could probably think of some really good ones like the Mario and the Zelda, and then you get like the spiritual warfares and the Noah's Ark games as
Oh, God, Noah's
bad
Ark.
ones. And then like Super Nintendo, you get the Yoshi's Island or the Super Mario Worlds or the Chrono Triggers, and then you get the bad ones like I don't know what. Let's see. SNES. That's also Genesis, right?
Yeah, Genesis is the same generation.
Sonic Spinball's options menu
Oh,
is the most
God.
grating song I can think of, and so there's that. And 64, we have Banjo Kazooie. And then yeah, you could do that GameCube. I'm gonna just skip down to the Switch too. Yes, I'm a big fan of Bonanza.
Mm-hmm.
I love it so much. I played it on stream and I can't get enough of it.
Yep.
I can't think of a bad Switch 2 soundtrack though, off the top of my head.
Yeah, like I think for Switch 2, it's still too early for that.
Right.
Yeah. Korshal?
Oh, yeah, I kind of dug myself in a bit of a hole when I was saying, like, I can remember good music that sticks with you, but it's a lot harder to be like, oh, I remember this being really bad. I mean, I guess we can once again bring up Yoshi's New Island, say that's probably one of the worst of the 3DS, I guess. Like, we'll tack that on there. I can definitely think of some earlier console stuff where it's like, oh, for me personally, there's a lot of Mega Man involved. I go like NES. I really love Mega Man 6's soundtrack. That was the one of the NES games I've listened to the most. Forcing me to pick between my two favorite children of DKC 1 and Mega Man X1. Mega Man X wins that fight because I use its sound font on a regular basis. So that is definitely a little stronger influence on me. Even though I never really played the PS1 between those two consoles as a kid. I will say if I had to pick like, oh, this is stylistically something I really like and is more Mega Man. X4 is my favorite of the PS1 Mega Man titles, period, out of any of the Mega Man ones. So I love the synth attitude that game carries. It's a little more stronger synth than it is the later X ones, by a little bit. There's still plenty of synth between them. But I think like the way it blends and chooses like balance the mix in X4 is something that stuck with me more so than others. I mean, I couldn't guess X6 earlier in the quiz, so I guess that's kind of speaking for me how it stuck.
Yeah.
And then I'd say like bump one more generation up, even though Dreamcast is kind of like that in between. I mentioned Sonic Adventure 1. I love both of them between the adventures, but Adventure 1 is still my pick for that. Let me fast forward. I can't think of one. what do you think it really would be for the Wii? I don't want to take too long where I have to start pondering afterwards, where like now there's a lot more games and time periods that start blending together that gets also harder for me to pick.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so right in Bonanza though. Like the finale music in that game really all right, it's a
So good.
can't say a lot, but it was definitely made to acknowledge me as a person and my my likes and interests and love for Donkey Kong, and it succeeded. It did that really well at the end.
Yep.
So yeah, I'll say those. Sadly, I don't have a lot of like, oh, I didn't like this game. So those are shout outs across the years for me.
All right. Becky?
Ooh, yeah, there's a lot that I can think of, like, especially going over the eras. I mean, I can probably give you what I think are the best. For the NES, I would have to say Super Mario Brothers 3. Super Nintendo would, Final Fantasy 4, definitely. I think Final Fantasy 6 had the better story, but I think Final Fantasy 4 had the better music.
Okay.
Although Final Fantasy 5, the Battle on the Big Bridge is a banger. For let's see, for PlayStation, definitely Final Fantasy 7, but another game that I really liked on there was Harvest Moon Back to Nature.
Ooh.
PlayStation 2, definitely the Katamari Damashis.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
on Wii, I am a Skyward Sword lover. I will not deny it. I actually am one of the very few people who liked it. For let's see, for I didn't really play a whole lot on the Wii U. I mean, I did play the original Splatoon, and that had its share of bangers. For Switch, there would be a tie between Three Houses and Legend of Zelda. I would have to say Persona 5 as well, but it's not really a original to the console. But I mean, it did get a fairly wide release and is pretty iconic.
Yeah.
Currently, right now, my most favorite would probably have to be Blueprints.
Okay. Awesome. Victorious GX asks, do you have a game soundtrack that you listen to more often than mainstream music? Everything. Because I don't listen to mainstream music.
Mm-hmm.
That's my answer.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Yep.
Yeah, like I was just saying, you couldn't name me an artist today, and I would not be able to say anything they've done.
Yeah.
It's all music, game music for me. That I live and breathe it. I don't know mainstream music.
John?
Well, if it's not Enya, then it's strictly gaming soundtracks for me.
All right. Becky?
If it's not City Pop, then it's the soundtracks to Coffee Talk.
All right. Next up is from Mr. Ben. In my time of playing games, I've encountered several titles that I would describe as a gas. Awful games with awesome soundtracks. That being said, what was the most awesome soundtrack for the most awful game you've ever played? Silver Surfer is definitely one of them. X-Men, Spider-Man and X-Men Arcade's Revenge. Those are my examples. John?
Sonic Spinball. Aside from that one track, that one god-awful track that everybody seems to pick at, the rest of the soundtrack is actually pretty good, even though the gameplay itself is kind of clunky.
All right. Andy?
So, awful game with an awesome soundtrack. Have you ever heard the soundtrack to Zelda: The Faces of Evil?
Yes.
They're so good.
Really,
You take away the cutscenes and the dialogue, and the soundtrack's really good.
It is.
There's my answer.
All right. Korshal?
So I struggle to say this game is like one of the worst things you could play, but I do think that its soundtrack was really, really good and like a higher bar than some of the gameplay elements is I think of Sonic 3D Blast being a very like okay experience when I played it. Like I'm not gonna say it's badly built. I don't think it's like a terrible game, but like it's one of those where compared to every other Sonic game, probably even below Spinball because it's just such a weird game. Like the novelty's there to play. 3D Blast's soundtrack, however, is really good. It is obviously so good. The guy just went cribbing like half of it into Sonic Adventure 1 anyways. And I didn't know like multiple songs were pulled from 3D Blast when I first heard Sonic Adventure 1 as a kid. So when you start getting the GameCube era like collection re-releases that Capcom and Sega were really into at the time, you start playing through 3D Blast and you're just like, wait a second, this intro song is in syncing like Twinkle Cart. Like, wait, what am I missing here? So it's just like, I actually really love the 3D Blast soundtrack. This question made it come back to my mind of like, wait, actually, that's a banger. Go figure with Sonic. I know, big surprise, but like, so I have trouble remembering a game I tried to sit through all the way and didn't enjoy playing, but like somehow the soundtrack made it through somehow. I feel like there's definitely a case, but I can't recall. So I'll put 3D Blast as my asterisk of like not the worst thing, but like a little lower for me than other Sonic games. But soundtrack's incredible.
All right.
So when you talk about Sonic 3D Blast, are you talking about the Genesis or the Saturn version?
I want to say it's the Genesis version of the soundtrack, if I'm recalling it right.
Yes, because there is a Saturn soundtrack that is completely different, and when you mentioned like that there was some music from Sonic Adventure, that was also in 3D Blast. That's because those were based off the Genesis soundtrack. Because Jun Sonoe composed the Genesis version, and Richard Jakes, he was the one who composed the Saturn version. So, yep. Becky.
Yeah, there's one that I can think of right now. It's more of like the game being a disappointment rather than the game being bad. But earlier this year, I started playing the 2019 reboot of Sakura Taisen, which was released as Sakura Wars.
Yeah.
And it included the new cast that was designed by Tite Kubo, who is the artist of Bleach. And they did get Kohei Tanaka to do the soundtrack, which is great. It's just that I could not connect with the characters. I couldn't connect with the story. The only really good thing about it was that you were able to move around in 3D space within the city and within the theater, but it didn't have the same feel as the previous Sakura Wars games did, where they're basically tactical combat simulators, while Sakura Wars 2019 was an action RPG. And recently read about like a lot of the behind the scenes drama that happened with the project being taken away from the originator of the series and given to somebody who just basically was like told, let's make a new game. And they're trying to tie up some loose ends with the story with stage plays in Japan right now, is considering that it's the 30th anniversary of the series as a whole.
Yep.
And as much as I'd like to give Sakura Wars another chance, it's just on the back burner right now because mostly there's a lot of more interesting stuff that I can play. But I still have the soundtrack and I still have the lovely songs from the different Kagekidan.
Yeah. All right. Next one is from DM. No. It's actually Book Slap. What famous song do you feel is overrated? Or conversely, what lauded piece of VG music can you just not get into no matter how much you try? As much as I enjoy this track, The Moon from DuckTales, I love it, but at the same time, it's overrated because it gets played a whole lot. I know that people will also say the same thing about Dr. Wily's, like the Dr. Wily Stage 1 from Mega Man 2. I love it, but I can see why it's overrated. But I would say that the Moon theme is more overrated in my opinion. John?
One-Winged Angel.
Ooh.
It's like the most overplayed piece in anything Final Fantasy related. It's like it's good. Don't get me wrong, but how many times have I heard this thing already? Like the moment the very first note of the Advent Children version played during the Sephiroth trailer at the Game Awards all those years ago, I knew instantly that's what that represented. Like, yeah, it represents the character. It's basically the Imperial March theme from Star Wars, but the video game relevant to it. And it's one of those where it's just like, why are people praising this one but not dancing mad?
Exactly. Andy?
I can tell you that's Book Slap's answer too, One-Winged Angel. And if you've ever listened to Siva Gunner, I found this really good, high-quality rip of One-Winged Angel where it's Cotton Eye Joe. Probably my favorite. Overrated. Huh. That's a good question. I would probably, if I had to pick a certain song that is overrated. I know there's one there, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. If I think about it, come back to me. But maybe we can see if Korshal has something.
Yeah, go ahead, Korshal.
I do. You already tacked on to it. Personally, for me, it's definitely MM2 Wily Stage 1. Like, it is the only thing you hear first when it's anything collab Mega Man related.
Yeah.
And like, it's still obviously good and fine. But like, the series has so much music. There's so many good songs, like equally, or in my opinion, better than Wily Stage 1 from 2. As good as that song is, it's just like as the series matured and like composers were able, like more composers did their own ideas and themes. Like if I had to pick a classic Mega Man soundtrack I like the best, for me it's 9. Mega Man 9 soundtrack is phenomenal with all the different ideas it does. But you don't ever get any of that because every single time Mega Man gets to poke around the corner and say like, sup guys, I'm here for some sort of collab, bam, Wily Stage 1 from 2 and every single thing. And I was just like, look, it's fine. It's fine. But why do we have to make this the defining track for the franchise no matter what you do? When like the reveal for Crossroads when that came around, I was like, of course it's just Wily Stage 1 from Mega Man 2. Of course it's just that again. And the remix is nice. Like, it's a nice remix. I won't deny that. But like, there was never a chance for it to be anything else. And that's the part that disappoints me, is whenever I see there's like a new Mega Man collab, which will involve some sort of musical identity, I can't even get my hopes up for it being anything else but Wily Stage 1 from 2, because I already know. I know they just get handed the clipboard from Capcom and says, things to include in this Mega Man crossover. It would say Mega Man himself, maybe Rush / Proto Man, depending on what exactly you're doing, and Wily Stage 1 from Mega Man 2 is the 3 checkboxes they have you to do for every collab. And they go like, sorry, you can't do other music. It's got to be Wily Stage 1. I was like, please. There's just so much else. People will want to learn more about this franchise if you give them more than one song. Please. That's my personal mini vendetta against Wily Stage 1 from 2.
All right. Becky?
Last surprise from Persona 5. It's my least favorite of the battle themes.
All right. Andy, have you thought of one?
Give me 1 second. Because I think I did. I just need to think of... No. No, I got nothing.
All right. I do want to add one more. Actually 2 more from the same series. Can we please add Green Hill Zone and Chemical Plant Zone, because both of them have been overplayed to death now?
Yup.
Green Hill Zone, definitely.
Yeah. Like, especially Green Hill Zone, like, super overplayed. DM21 asks, which gaming soundtrack was the first time you grew to appreciate and why? For me, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, because of how amazing the music actually sounded. And the thing is that this is when I jumped from NES to Genesis, and just being able to appreciate how the music was on Genesis compared to the NES just took me to a completely new era of video games. John?
The first time I ever found myself paying more attention to the music of a video game than the video game itself was Pac-Man World 2.
Ooh.
David Crane did some really amazing work with that cross-platform soundtrack. For the environment it tries to capture, it is very nice. And anytime I would enter a new level, I would have to stop for a second to embrace what was coming to me through the music itself. And immediately the vibe would catch on.
Andy?
Banjo-Kazooie.
Yep.
There's a lot of other games but this is probably the one that truly got me. I mean, you start up the game and there is a bear playing a banjo. You know, music's central to it, and his name is Banjo.
Yep.
And yeah, so I mean, I that's the one farthest back in my memory banks. There might be more, but that's the one that sticks.
That's fair. Korshal.
So I definitely mentioned this in one of the earlier questions, but I'll reiterate it here that like the thing that really started making me go like, oh yeah, I should just take the time to listen to the standalone removed from the game was being provided that CD of Paper Mario to listen to a night when it was in my house because of my older sibling's friend being like, he obviously took it with him with left, but like that was impactful enough to make me go like, oh yeah, I should just stop and like listen to things as well. And it started spreading to everything else when I started doing like the sound test and pause menu things. But yeah, Paper Mario 64, that was the door that was open to me was because of the key that Paper Mario 64 provided.
All right. Becky?
Yeah, Final Fantasy VI. I mean, that was one of the first video games I really started learning about on the internet and getting all of the MIDIs from, and realizing how rich the Super Nintendo's sound could be.
All right. We got two more. Professor Icepick asks, are there any video game soundtracks you didn't appreciate until after you played their associated game? Pretty much anything Final Fantasy, and some of the Castlevania games that I didn't play, but I heard the soundtrack first until I actually played them. Especially Portrait of Ruin. Oh my god, Portrait of Ruin is so good though. And the only other example I'll think of would actually be Super Mario 64, because like for the longest time I'd never finished it, but then when I finally finished it, I appreciate the soundtrack more. John?
I played through Earthbound, hardly paying attention to very much of the music, and all I had to do was give it another 2 or 3 runs, and then everything just kind of symbolizes itself together. There's specific pinpoints you find, and so many magical moments that happen throughout the game through the music alone. Like the coffee break cutscene from the trivia sections we played earlier. That was like a perfect opportunity to just sit back, relax, and reminisce. Like, this is how far you've come. Like, the track is literally called You've Come Far, and that's because it gives you the ability to realize where you are at that point in the game. And then, of course, you have all of your other varying town themes. Forsyth, Zombified 3, Tucson, Summers, Dalam in the East, Winters. Oh, man. It's too much good in that game.
Yep. Andy?
I think this technically answers the question. I had found through Video Games Live, actually, they had a really cool rock arrangement of Castlevania, right?
Yep.
And that was like the only song that I really got into it. None of the other game music really got me, like pulled me in. And then last year, I actually played through Castlevania 1, Part of 2, and Symphony of the Night. and I just appreciated the soundtrack a little bit more. It kind of got me into that a little bit.
Yeah, Symphony of the Night soundtrack is so good though.
Mhm.
Korshal.
So I would say a general set of soundtracks that like I thought were fine when you kind of listen to them like out of the game, but then when you play it, you realize how many like considerations are put into it. Is I'm gonna have to honestly like say the N64 Kirkhope soundtracks are a thing that are an entirely different experience when you play it versus the listen, because like there's basically for every like big level, you know, in these collectathons, there's so many variants he does of the main theme of each of those worlds that if you just go and listen to it just like removed from that as playlists or things like that, you might not even like take that into account, or you might just come up to it in the playlist and go like, oh, it's the song again,
Yeah.
just slightly different, whatever, skip. But when you get to have that in game and it's programmed to transition like smoothly and the melody still stays on the beat, but now it's changing the instruments because you're just shifting to a new section, especially in Donkey Kong 64. This is very obvious in how it works in like you think about just the opening Jungle Japes kind of stuff, like Jungle Hijinks, going into the cave where the stage immediately starts you with the main theme and has you very quickly going into a cave just to showcase the point that it can swap between these things and then go back and still like resume where it was and keep the ideas going. And there's never really a break in it. There's just like a nice transition between the two that also helps kind of guide your emotional experience of that portion of like what it means. And like, I think that's really neat. That's a thing I don't think is as easy to understand why the developers and Kirkhope did what they did with the music until you actually play it. And then you're like, oh, okay, now I get it more of why there's these cues or motifs that follow or how they change, what their purpose was in each like sub area. So yeah, I'd say Kirkhope rare N64 games are ones that I thought were fine, and then I play through them, and you're like, oh, now I understand their purpose a lot more. I fully appreciate every bit of them and why they do what they do.
All right, Becky.
Yakuza.
Yep. Oh yeah, Yakuza, absolutely. Because they have some bangers in that series as well.
Yeah.
The last question is from Dari Gamer. What video game soundtrack would you blast in public? Anything that's from Mario, Sonic, Mega Man, pretty much Smash Brothers, fighting game soundtracks. The list goes on and on. John?
Once Upon a Katamari.
Once Upon a Katamari.
I had the absolute pleasure of finally finishing the game after owning it for, I want to say, like 6 months, just a couple weeks ago. And oh my goodness, the music in Once Upon a Katamari. Listen, Katamari Damacy in and of itself is like super niche. And you'd be so surprised to see how much popularity it's gotten over the years from people who just took a look at it, decided to give it a try, felt the vibe, wanted to see more of it. Then next thing you know, we get sequels and re-releases and expansions that add more to the lore. Then comes Once Upon a Katamari, a completely new game that adds gimmicks and world building and customization and so many different new and cool features, and the music that accompanies everything. It's well worthy of the Katamari moniker. A very solid new entry.
I'll have to play it sometime. Andy.
Okay, well, obviously Street Fighter 2 because Guile's theme goes with everything.
It does.
But realistically,
Damn, the ranch dressing of video game music.
Yep. That's what it is.
But no. Realistically, I've actually been at my local grocery store while I was grocery shopping. They were playing the Stardew Valley soundtrack, and I was like,
oh shit!
what is going on? And I was like, okay, I could do this. This fits in. Everybody around here, they don't know. They don't realize what's going on. So Stardew would be a good one. Mario Kart World. We were setting up for a meeting with a bunch of like the CEOs and higher ups at my work, and to test the audio, I was playing Mario Kart World. Nobody said a thing. And I'm like, perfect. This is how we're gonna do it.
All right.
And then obviously Kirkhope.
Awesome. Korshal.
So, especially since I put playlists on public speakers at my job and when I drive, I can pretty much say like I could confidently have like anything with zero regrets. I keep gassing this man up because of how influential he is to me. I would, if I was like told I have to blast something loud, because I'm usually a little embarrassed my music's too loud. I don't like feeling like I'm a bother. But if you're like, all right, your cats are hostage, Korshal. You got to pick a soundtrack to blast out of your open like car window as you drive. What's it gonna be? I will gladly pick the Eurobeat influenced Gravity Circuit to just like have that bass be rattling every car alongside me as we go. That is a fantastic soundtrack. I love the Euro synth. It is very good, and it deserves to get played loud and proud if I had to pick just one.
All right. Sounds good. Becky?
Ooh, I would say the original Mario Kart.
Really? And why is that?
Just for nostalgia's sake, and just the fact that the theme for the first course is just really iconic.
It really is. I will say though, before we go, there is actually one more video game piece of music I actually want to play for you guys before we go. And let's see who gets this.
Oh, it's a trivia.
Oh, not that one. Not that one. Not that one.
Okay.
We've done this one before. I've played these games before.
We did that one before, but this one. Sorry, I thought I got it, but no, it was the last one we did. This is the one that we're gonna do. This is the last one.
I can tell you Game Boy.
Can I make a guess?
Yes, actually. Let me stop the music.
Is this from Dragon Quest IV?
No. Anyone have any guesses?
Man,
Link's Awakening.
Nope.
see, I was kind of in that same direction. I would have guessed like Oracle of Seasons or Ages.
Nope. It's not that
Definitely
either.
gives off Game Boy vibes.
John, do you have a guess?
Me, NES vibes.
Shadowgate?
Yes, you got it.
Oh.
Oh, interesting.
Hall of Mirrors. And the reason, and this track is infamous because there was a series of videos that are on YouTube that actually used that track in the opening, and the YouTube videos are rather a series called Gaming in the Clinton Years.
Oh,
They're infamous for like the most ridiculous reviews for all these video games. Like
yeah, about that.
so this guy George Wood, he talks a lot about all these games back in the the mid to late 90s to like the early 2000s, and it was originally a show called Flights of Fantasy, and he like everyone just finds it hilarious as to the fact that he just does all these reviews, and they're not even that great to begin with, but they just get memed a lot for years. There's a video from YouTuber Kid Icarus who binge watched a lot of, or every single review he's done during the early stages of the pandemic, because obviously when you're in the pandemic, you got to have something to do. So yeah, that's why I played that. It's just like a joke, but yeah. Other than that, that is going to do it for this podcast. It was a lot of fun, just not only talking about how much we love video game music, but actually doing like a little bit of trivia regarding video game music. So it was fun. It was a fun night overall, and I have to thank all four of you for being a part of this. So before we sign off, John, where can we find you?
You're able to find me on as many platforms as possible by looking for Jon J Torres 2000 across platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram. You'll find me plenty a little bit everywhere. Again, I cover a wide variety of content that mainly focuses on retro gaming and high score seeking. In another life, I'm a pro wrestling ring announcer. In another life, I am a barbarian who chose the path of the ancestral guardians. There was a lot going on. Shall you come and join? Stay a while and listen.
All right. Andy, where can we find you?
If you want to find me online, you can go to twitch.tv/Andy_Bundy. You can also go to my website, andybundy.net. And we also have a community Discord that we hang out with. Those are kind of my main haunts right now, between Twitch, Discord, my website, and Blue Sky. My website is also where I do that Music Monday post that I was talking about. So there should be sometime later today, because it's after midnight now.
Yeah.
New posts coming out. But yeah, that's kind of the big thing that I'm doing. I stream on Sundays, typically Tuesdays and Fridays. Tuesdays being a Teamwork Tuesday collaboration with my best friend Bookslap.
Awesome. Korshal, where can we find you?
All right, so depending on what you're looking for, you can find me here on Twitch, just twitch.tv/Korshal Valent, where I play a lot of Nintendo stuff. I'm very prominently, for better or worse, with a lot of really great friends that I like to verbally scrap with and have a lot of good times. If that's not your thing, my other big thing to find me on is YouTube. Just same thing, Korshal Valent, where you'll find all my music remixes I work on. I do stuff roughly every 3 to 4 weeks. I like to just give it time for me, because I take my passion very seriously, and I love to try to do new spins on things. So I often am just like cooking for a long time. But yeah, every 3-ish weeks, you'll see me do something. I tend to alternate between the Mega Man X SNES style sound font and like synth rock stuff. And you'll find me on Blue Sky as well, also Korshal Valent. I don't post a whole lot, but I do love to repost my friends and really great artists I've either worked with directly or really enjoy their art of. So even if you don't see a lot of words and wisdom from me personally, I hope I can help introduce you to other cool people out there.
Yep. And Becky, where can we find you?
Well, you can find me. I have a list of links to my various socials, my podcast appearances, and to my AO3 Honey feed and the Nintendo Force magazine website. It is rrudranath.carrd.co.
All right. And also, you can pretty much find me just about like anywhere within the stratosphere, except for a certain bird site that I have not used in a year and a half and I will never go back to. But I am pretty much mainly on Blue Sky and Discord, and I do my daily streams on Twitch on Monday through Thursdays, with some Fridays and Sundays. So Sharing with Shellshock is going to be taking a break from now up until like early to mid-September, because I usually tend to do a summer break. But when we come back, we're going to be on our 100th episode. So
Nice.
I will not say what the topic is just yet. I don't even know who's on it. All I know is I would like for people to be there. I would like for people to actually like tune in. I'm still figuring out a date. It's probably going to be the second Sunday of September, which, judging by what I have right here, it's most likely going to be September 13th. I want to say it's that, because that's what I'm eyeing on. I don't know what the topic is yet. I'm still trying to finalize what are the topics for the fall season of Sharing with Shellshock. And I will say, Book Slap, if you're watching, you're going to be on it in a few episodes. Stay tuned for you coming back in. Other than that, I'll figure everything else out, and I would like to have all four of you on again at some point. Which, once again, Jon, Andy, Korshal, Becky, thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for being a part of this podcast. And also, I apologize. I apologize for like some of the like random technical difficulties that happened earlier, but I'm pretty certain that everyone's good here. So you guys are all good tonight. And once again, I could not be any more thankful for you guys. And with that, I will, because like I paused the recording for the raid, but yeah. Once again, one more time, thank you guys for being a part of the podcast. The trivia and the discussion was a lot of fun. Maybe we might have more trivia in the future. Granted, I'm also going to give a shout out to Tarvel's Quest, even though he could not be here tonight because I originally wanted him on this. But you got to check out his video game music competitions he does, like the Tarvel's tests. It's a lot of fun. I was a guest on it once, and then like one of the earlier ones. It's really good. So yeah, I'm gonna give a quick shout out to Tarvel's Quest. And with that, I will see you guys tomorrow for my next stream. But for Sharing with Shellshock, we'll be back in September. So as always, make sure to take care of yourselves. Be awesome, stay awesome. Tell your loved ones you love them. Check out those always. Fight for a lasting peace. I'll see you guys next time. Be kind, rewind. And because I've been watching a lot of The Price is Right lately, like binge watching it, make sure to help control the pet population and have your pets spayed and neutered. So y'all have a good night.
See ya.
Shh.